Hello and welcome to Infamous, the audio podcast. This is Brandon, or Mutilus on Discord.
This is Parker, go by One Who Parks on Discord.
This is Jeremy, go by just Jeremy, and yet again I'm hiring fucking cooks, so hashtag looking for cooks.
And this is Aaron, I go by Treffenwood on Discord.
We did it. Everyone's here. Nobody got cut off. We're going to do the podcast now.
Hashtag looking for cooks.
Hashtag looking for cooks.
God damn it.
So, quick order of business. We have announcements. We do have a Patreon channel. The link is in the notes. But to more important business, Parker, you lost a bet.
I suppose, in a manner of speaking, yes.
I mean, just because you left your money on the table when you left doesn't mean no one could bet for you.
I'm willing to lose the bet because It was done with the best of intentions, with a beautiful, humble soul.
My favorite moment was when there is some point in which Aaron realized that if he won another game, that you would suffer.
Yeah.
But he chose to continue trying to win over giving you much needed relief from suffering.
Mm-hmm. Not even a fleeting thought.
Yeah.
No, okay. Well, you thought about it at least once while we were on the podcast.
Well, earlier.
But you're like, yeah, but I'm not going to intentionally lose a game for Parker.
No.
Like not going to happen. And so I love that about Aaron. All right.
Listen to the post /
the post ramble. Okay,
yeah,
we'll see.
If you're excited to find out the full story, I'm not gonna
immediately after music. You will hear a story.
Yeah.
Alrighty. So Parker, that's going to put you to 2,600 episodes.
How about that?
Bonus.
Mm-hmm.
Don't worry.
Now
that itchy hair of yours is. We'll take care of that soon.
Mm-hmm. Honestly, with how hot it is right now, you don't want that hair.
It's staying. It's staying.
Not the way you're playing this game.
Yeah. I have rescinded my earlier offer.
Parker, I'm going to read down a couple lines here where it says, Parker, 2,500 episodes equals shaved head. So what I'm going to do here, I'm going to try and be generous here. I'm going to give you another opportunity to get back below 2,500 before this kicks in.
Master is a generous master.
Yeah, he's very generous, very generous. So I'm going to tell you what, we'll wait till the next bet to see where you are. Okay, how's that sound?
I don't know what that means.
We got one more. Next time a bet happens, either direction, then the shaved head goes live. How about that? Currently, your next bet on the roster here is there will be less than 4 Wakanda leaders in 2023, but there's also Shocker will not be able to shock people.
Mm-hmm.
So we got a couple bets there. Or you could place a new bet in the near future and then have that one basically decided. So anyway, we'll give you some more chances.
Okay.
I feel like that would be.
Oh boy, fair. Give a betting man more chances. What could happen?
we're gonna free roll you on this one. I mean, you still got the episodes, but we're not gonna break your kneecap.
Double or nothing, of course.
Yeah,
I'd be a fool.
I feel it's very important to point out that if Parker shaves his head, that doesn't remove the episodes. It's just like a benchmark.
No. Yeah, it's just something that
he still has to get rid of them.
It's a status symbol.
Yeah.
I was perfectly aware. Nothing.
I know. But I want to make sure the listening public was aware of that.
Yeah. If somebody breaks your legs for a bad bet, you have broken legs and still dead.
Yeah, they weren't nourished by your broken bones. That was like a punishment.
Yeah, that was just to remind you have yet more debt.
Yeah. Alrighty. So moving on, we are going to currently playing. Anybody got anything they want to share about what they've been playing lately?
I'm still running Cabal, running a lot of OG Red Skull with his partners in crime. A bunch of 3-point models, a few 4-point models. Even been running OG Red Skull with Malekith, and it's pretty neat. I got some cool shit going on with that right now, and I'm having fun with it.
Mm-hmm. I actually like your list a lot. I'm just not a fan of the missions you chose, but I understand why you chose them.
I've regrouped.
Oh, have you?
We've regrouped after today. I put some spicy. I got some spicy stuff happening.
I had some suggestions if you're looking for stuff, but it sounds like you landed in a new spot.
We're getting there. We're twisting it tighter and tighter.
Nice.
So I was also inspired by Jeremy's list, so I'm planning on taking it to Springfield this coming weekend. And Jeremy and I are both going to play the same list and see who does better with it.
I'm so sorry, Springfield. This is not going to be good.
Maybe I'll dust off the Cabal and I'll also play Cabal.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
The invasion. Just everyone goes
This
out.
is like when everybody showed up with Thanos.
Mm-hmm.
So this is on the subject, though. So I just got done listening to the Musecast where, like, Nigel fucking hates people who run away with shit, right? So, like, he thinks that all Web Warriors and Avengers players are, like, the devil. And he would like to lose, but just fight. So, I don't know. Is it better to bring a fighty list that you think is going to do really well, like a Malekith or a CGR, or like a Web Warrior list or Avengers list is just going to run away with shit? Like, what's the worst? Is there a difference in the level of degenerateness between those two lists when you show up to a non-local tournament, a small non-local tournament like that?
Can I share with you how I look at it?
Yeah, I asked a question.
Yeah, so whatever will upset my opponent the most is what I'm going to do. So against Nigel, even if I'm playing Cabal, I'll just run away with the points because it'll get him upset, and then he'll play badly because he's upset. But against somebody who wants to fight me, like, still running away. Against somebody who doesn't care if I run away, I'll just, like, fight him and run away. Like, I don't know, I'll find a way.
Zemo moves forward, picks up a point, then immediately charges backwards.
Charge, steel rush, back up, double move. Like, got it. Like,
but I'm just curious, honestly, from the rest of you.
I generally prefer to fight.
Do you think a meta would be more disappointed that we all showed up with Web Warriors or that we all showed up with Malkabal?
I actually think they'd be more upset if we all showed up with Malkabal.
Yeah,
but I think that's
not even close.
I think that's a misconception because I think Malkabal, because of its high variance levels of, like, depending on dice, I think it's actually easier to still win from that list. So even if it's considered better, which I don't think it is, I think Web Warriors is better. But even though it's considered better, I think it's actually easier to beat because it's less forgiving to a single mistake and it's less reliant on dice variance. And so if you were to play, let's say, 100 games against Web Warriors and 100 games against Malkabal, I think Malkabal has a hard ceiling on how many games it can win because it will just have so many games it loses on dice and scenario. It's like, oh, look, we accidentally flipped the worst possible scenario at bad point total for me. Like, this is not good. And then other games where you're just like, you just blank out important rolls and you lose.
So I think if everyone brought Web Warriors, I think, in saying what you're saying kind of in a different way, if everyone brought Web Warriors, I think that everyone would have a terrible, miserable time against everyone who brought that. Whereas if everyone brought Malekith, I think people would get to have hero moments on the table, and some people, maybe it's 1 out of 4, maybe 2 out of 4, would get to feel like a hero because they would get to do some cool shit. Like Mal does whiff, and Mal can die. Web Warriors don't ever have to attack; they just fuck you over and leave. And there's really not a lot your opponent can do about it sometimes. And you're right; like it's a dice thing. Like that sometimes it just doesn't matter.
I used to get in a lot of arguments with War Machine players back in the day over, like, why specific things never got nerfed. And a lot of the pushback I got from the people that I kind of respected, like the arguments that I wouldn't have a strong pushback for other than, you're wrong, shut up, which is a bad argument, basically comes down to the psychological state your opponent is in while you're beating them. And so the big argument would be, let's say in the Web Warriors scenario, would be that they don't feel they're losing until the game is over. Because the fact that the score tracker is in a different spot doesn't affect them in the same way of their models dying. And so when you see your models have taken all this damage or have been turned over, have been KO'd completely, it puts you in a different mental state as opposed to, oh, my opponent scored 3 points. Because there's always that thought in the back of your head, well, if I get a lucky turn and daze like 4 people, then I'll be back in it. And that's like the glimmer of hope they have, as where when you're down to 2 models against Mao, there's nothing you can do. It's like, I always disagreed with that because I put a lot of, I try and look at the game. I don't care if my models are dead. I care about the odds of winning the game. And so, I'll be in those situations. I find it way less fun to play against stuff like Web Warriors because there's less interaction. It's just watching the score tracker move is the entire game. And so it's just all about how you view the game on if you, like, that's what affects you, or if watching your models die is what affects you.
I was going to say, I would say that the answer to the question is in the question, which is, we kind of started it with one person said, I really can't stand playing against Web Warriors because they run away. And I think what was funny is that when you put Web Warriors down on the field, like you said, Brandon, everybody goes, oh, okay, let's go ahead and play. But when you put Malekith down on the field, everybody goes, oh, Jesus, and they cup their balls because they're sure they're about to get dick punched. It's a very different psychological effect, I think, player to player. And it's awesome. I wish you could say there's one thing you should do to affect a whole tournament. I feel like I'm contradicting myself. But
ban Voodoo.
And then I see that when I see Voodoo down, I actually don't care.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Because Voodoo can die.
No.
I do care when I see Web Warriors, because Web Warriors actually, they have 3 models that will validate my secures instead of 1 model that will validate my secures. That's how I feel about it, because Web Warriors will have 3 people on the field that will, if any of them go last, they're invalidating one of my models, and that is very frustrating to play against. When I see Voodoo, I go, oh, that's your 1 model that can validate people? Well, I'm going to kill him. Of course, you can play Voodoo and 3 other guys like him, but I find that when I play against Web Warriors, I'm immediately on a certain kind of plan, and that is just to kill everybody as fast as possible. And I have to kill everybody as fast as possible. I feel like there's no way to beat them at their game. But I don't think a lot of people do think that whenever they go against Web Warriors. I think a lot of people go, oh, a couple spider people, I'll play the game I always play, and that's just not what's going to happen to them. And so they feel like it's going to be more fair when it's not.
Yeah, I think it's because they feel they're allowed to play the game as opposed to, like, watching their, like, it's, do you believe that your actions, despite it's probably not going to change the outcome of the game, getting to activate your models, all of them, all of the time, is more fun than watching your models die while being ahead on points. It's just which of those 2 things upsets you more, being some of your opponent running away with the score or your opponent running away with attrition. It's just like one of them will trigger you more and the other one won't, and it's just entirely up to that person what sets them off for, like, an unfun experience. And so if you've conceded the fact that you're probably going to lose the game from the start, I would imagine that the attrition is worse, because then you don't get to activate your models in the ways that you want. As where against Web Warriors, like, they're always running away from you anyway, so, like, you don't get to fight them. So either way, you're not really getting your attrition work. You're just not dealing with your models dying. And so, I don't know. My opponent killing my models has never really affected me that much. And so, I don't know.
Cool. Back to currently playing. Since we last recorded, I've played 20 games with 5 different affiliations, which is just a fuck ton to keep straight in one's head, and impossible to keep straight in real life in terms of, like, I've started writing down tactics cards on a sheet of paper because I just can't keep 5 different lists organized and straight. So, but it has been a heck of a lot of fun. So,
I have been playing a new list. I've been playing for about a month now, and I kind of made it as a whim. But after playing it a whole bunch, I've really fallen in love with it. However, I actually want to talk about it with you guys, try to figure out, I have some chafe. I have some models in it that I just never find myself playing, and I need to decide, is it because I haven't gotten a situation to play them and they're really, really useful sometimes, or if I should be using these spaces for something else because I might encounter something I haven't yet. But it's a criminal list using MODOK the Scientist Supreme. So it's Advanced Idea Mechanics is the name of the list because that's the name of his list. And the core is MODOK, and then usually the 2 unaffiliated models, 1 or both of them are in there, and they are the Blob, because of his amazing interaction with MODOK and the MODOK Sacrifice, that he can spend power to give it to somebody else. And then I'm almost always playing also with Doctor Strange, Sorcerer Supreme, because I found with MODOK he is so difficult to remove. So basically, the idea is Blob very, very rarely gets attacked twice, and so he can almost always make use of the once per turn defensive ability and then bump people back. If you're trying to attack MODOK, between MODOK's big base and Blob's medium base, they can both be contesting many different kinds of secures. And I can always be schluffing things from MODOK, who's usually holding extracts also, onto Blob. And so far it's worked very well, because Strange just kind of goes and solves problems, and hits really, really hard, and then MODOK and Blob do their thing, and then it's just kind of criminals to taste. But I'm really the core is such a core. I'm trying to figure out what else I did or should do. My original idea was the only time that MODOK I think gets much worse is on D deployments. I think on D scenarios he gets much worse. His thing that he does works really well is on Bs, it works on I, it works on E, but it does not really work on Ds. So I had a Shadowlands Daredevil switch, because basically I just ran a bunch of like rapid fire models in there, because a Hood's in there already, Killmonger's in there already, Bullseye's in there already. So I was like, okay, I'll just put Shadowlands Daredevil in with 2 good rapid fire models. Right now it's Punisher and Winter Soldier, but doesn't have to be. And so if they made me spread out, I would just gang up on them and shoot them a whole bunch, because it doesn't really matter. I don't need to be in a clump with Shadowlands Daredevil. That's fine. But I haven't found a way to play Shadowlands Daredevil or Punisher or Winter Soldier yet. And so I'm just, do you think that I should just keep it in there because I haven't encountered Ds? So just keep it in there. Is that a good idea for Ds, or should I be thinking something totally different with these 3 slots I have?
I mean, I don't think you can make a decision until you've tested it.
Yeah, I don't think MODOK 2 works on Ds personally.
That's the reason why Shadowlands Daredevil's there. But
I would say go combo.
Oh,
if you have Sexy Strange in your list already, I personally prefer Daredevil when he is able to gang up on people, right? So I'm not sure your rapid fire wins one-on-ones if your opponent knows what they're doing and isn't sitting on points. So I think I'd lean towards running combo.
Can you post your list in the podcast channel real quick?
Sure.
Like as tech, or just the characters, really?
The only thing wrong with Convocation, and running Convocation as a 2 roster option, it's generally difficult to accommodate their tactics cards. Although I could really slim down the tactics cards I'm taking here, because the original list has just a whole lot of MODOK cards and even Blood Red and Personal, Usurp the Throne, because the original version of the list was I wanted to try all the tactics cards that gain you victory points and just see what happens if I do that. And I haven't had an occasion for it yet, so much so I'm wondering, does it ever occur, right? Like, is there ever actually a time when I play Blood Red and Personal, MODOK's 2 cards, Usurp the Throne? Is there really a situation where I do that and I'm not forcing it and definitely just losing because I'm trying a silly gimmick?
Have you felt that the bonus to victory points makes a noticeable difference in your games?
Yes. Having the ability to play any one of the cards when I'm taking either Punisher or Killmonger, or, well, I'm always taking MODOK, but being able to slide in one of the MODOK cards has made a difference in games. It has won me games a turn earlier, and not just win harder. Like, it was a good decision to have Usurp or, in the case it was MODOK's, so I'm just trying to remember, Simpleton, I'll do it myself. I played once. No, I'm wrong. It's Mind Games. I played Mind Games once, and Mind Games won because it put him in a Sophie's choice. He could either take damage and daze and lose, or pick the, give me 2 victory points and lose. So that was it. The game was over. So Mind Games actually just closed the door on one game. So, I have found that having all the victory point cards in it does do something. Not all at the same time, though, but they have actually been useful. The one that I think is the hardest one to pull off is probably Blood Red and Personal. But if you're playing with Shadowlands Daredevil, it actually should gain you probably 2, maybe just 1 victory point, but probably 2.
Right, but my concern in those situations, like I have no doubt that just like the shield leadership, it can get you some points, but you have to have those points be relevant. And with Shadowlands Daredevil, I don't know that they are, because so often you prioritize attrition over scenario to such a degree that you're generally very far behind, to the point where if you do win by getting to 16, it's only through complete decimation of your opponent. At which point it doesn't matter really that you got an extra 2 points for that tactic slot.
And I found with MODOK it's the opposite. Yeah. I tried to play MODOK like Shadowlands Daredevil when I was just going all in attrition, and it didn't work at all. He actually likes like slowly playing the more traditional attrition game where he is.
Well, yeah, because he's got to be contesting to turn on his leadership, so you're fighting in a slightly different way anyway.
Right.
Well, Looking at the people here, I don't see how you get Convocation affiliated. Like, you'd have to cut probably 4 models at least.
I think the cuttables are, if I wanted to just ditch the Shadowlands, it would be Shadowlands, Daredevil, Punisher, Winter Soldier. The character I didn't mention yet is Venom. He was originally a test to see who I liked more for the sacrifice target. Venom being a sacrifice sounded really good. In actual use, it's probably worse than Blob.
Yeah, I would guess so.
It's probably worse than Blob.
Because Venom's cool as like a one-off like sack target. But I don't. That's a lot of threat value sitting in one spot.
It's also a lot of threat for a non-affiliated member.
Have you tried Supergiant yet?
I just don't have her painted. Okay. I think I would, but I just don't have her painted. She's not. So it's just I don't have the model available.
Because right now the only models I see that you really have that should be included in Convocation are Strange and maybe Hood and MODOK 2. Those are like the only 2 I see here. And so you need to pick up Mordo, probably Magic, and then a handful of alternates to make affiliated work.
Mm-hmm. But then the tactics cards for Convocation would be the one that doesn't count,
have to
leadership.
Books and playing a Poldock probably, and then beyond that, there's probably 2 or 3 more that you could take depending on characters.
Interesting. And the idea is you're excited to play that on Ds. I have played a little bit of Convocation.
They like Ds because they like spreading out.
Right. I've played a little bit of Convocation. I don't know if I've actually played them on Ds yet. Maybe I've just gotten lucky with deployments and people are winning priority. I've only played them, 5 times, I think. Interesting idea. I do know MODOK Scientist Supreme is also pretty strong in the faction too, so I wouldn't need a Convocation 4-pointer to feel good about MODOK. He would feel good.
Well, it's the issue is like the only affiliated model that you have is Strange. It's like you got to get 2 more affiliateds in that are in every single list, which MODOK and Wong can be, but that puts you in a points predicament because you're very inflexible on points. Because you're in for 10 points affiliated, and then you're just hobbling to get the rest of your list done.
Right.
And I don't personally think Convocation is very strong in the current meta, but they are fun.
I feel like Doctor Strange, Sorcerer Supreme in this list is by far the best version of Doctor Strange I've ever played. It feels so good. He just puts away things that are way too big, and his style of usually being attacked once per turn means he very, very rarely is KO'd by an attack. I have not seen him flip over his backside yet. He's been damaged a bunch, but never flipped over. He's really tanky because usually only getting attacking once, and it's not good enough.
Well, I can only imagine he gets attacked even less in Convocation when you get to place him out of range. But
right,
yeah, right. Strange goes in spurts. Right, it's all about when you get the bad rolls, and that's when he dies. Until you get the bad rolls, he's basically invincible. But then he'll just explode out of nowhere because he's all based on defense dice.
So you don't think Convocation?
I don't think that's the direction I would go with it. Because Convocation, I feel like it eats up so much of your roster that I don't know there would be a lot left.
I think there might be space for it, like I said, because I literally have never put down Punisher, Winter Soldier.
Sure.
But
like we know that the criminal list has some merits, right? Like trying to just quick blitz people down, it has some merits. So let's see. So you're cutting Venom because he's not even really used right now.
Right. Blob is just better, especially a lot of point values too.
Killmonger. Like the thing I see as an obvious opportunity is to just jam in replace a couple of your efficiency models with just good generalists, and then you can just throw in Hellfire Club on top of it, and you'd have an easy alternate there that's decent at playing scenario. And that way you have, like, it's a fairly hard alternate where you're playing a different strategy, but the models you're taking are probably fairly similar because you can just play whatever you want. And so if you have like a strong core that you like, but don't like the leadership and the tactics cards in that specific matchup, you can just play an alternate.
I like that too.
Because a lot of your people are pretty chunky, so they're good at stick around. The extra healing would be nice, the extra power. A lot of them wanted to stand on points anyway with your current strategy. Like, Blob is going to be a pain in the ass to get off the table. MODOK's going to be a pain. Strange would probably still be good. But it'd be just small differences. Like, you'd probably trade Punisher for X-23 and then maybe Winter Soldier for Lizard. And then you just trade Shadowlands Daredevil for Emma Frost.
Interesting.
And then so the rest of the list pretty much stays the same. And you could cut Venom for something different, like Logan if you wanted, since he's not really important.
I haven't been excited to try Hellfire yet. I don't even have my White Queen back yet. I didn't even put her on the short list. But you're right. It makes a lot of sense.
But yeah, it's really just all about what you want to play. And so I think the missions that you're generally running for those two are not necessarily the same. But the list that your, what is it called? Criminal list doesn't want to play on, the missions that they don't want to play on is probably the ones that Hellfire does, I would guess. But I don't know if it's a complete overlap. But and again, you can basically play whatever you want. That's just the first thing that comes to my mind when looking at this.
Interesting. So Hellfire, maybe Convocation, maybe. I had to make that work. It'd be harder. More of a square peg round hole. Hellfire is a little bit easier to make it all work. Okay. Jeremy, no opinion? Haven't tried any of these guys?
I mean, yeah, I've tried the MODOK 2 before. I don't know. I didn't dig him that much. I couldn't fairly figure him out. But I think the Hellfire option would be interesting. You might be able to make something out of that.
Mm-hmm. Man, I have really loved this list on B. MODOK and Blob just can hang with just about anybody else on a B on one side. Just the two of them. They feel so good.
You really need to try Supergiant at some point. Yeah. It's so silly.
Yeah, I believe you. It really is just don't have her yet.
Mm-hmm.
But every time when Blob... it's nutty that on a B, because they're base size, Blob and MODOK can hold down both on one side and still be within two of each other. It just... As soon as I set it up, every one of my opponents will be like, oh. Like, yeah, here we go. Beat
they're
these
just,
two.
They're vulnerable to board control, right? What if they just throw one of their...
They could be... Each of them could be thrown. And Blob can be advanced, but he can't be pushed or thrown by attacks.
Yeah.
MODOK.
There's just a lot of things that throw size 3s right now. Like, everything can throw size 3, it feels like, in the current meta.
Right. Oh, it's not a foolproof plan.
Yeah.
It's just if you just want to go up and fight it, right? If you want to just want to attack twice, you're like, well, you're attacking once, or you're just giving me the point for free. And MODOK, I have been very impressed by how much damage he does. He is much stronger than I thought at first glance. It is not. It doesn't feel broken. It just feels like a greater than the sum of its parts for sure.
Yeah.
I'll go back to this. I'll think about it.
Cool. For my currently playing, I've just been playing the same webs list I've been tinkering around with. I think I'm at the point where I'm about to start making changes to it. As I've got enough games in. It definitely still feels the work. I do like Mysterio in it, but I rarely ever play him. I also find I don't enjoy playing ASM that much. He feels like a very specific piece in very specific missions. And it's the only time you really ever play him. Obviously, all the 3-point affiliateds except for Moon Knight are very good. I'm excited for Spectacular Spider-Man. I think he'll make another fun drop-in. But yeah, they're a little boring after a while. Obviously, you can get better plays with them and stuff, but it just seems like you pretty much every game you're playing the same 4 models over and over again because they're just really strong.
I always found that Amazing Spider-Man's witty banner is really where the money's at.
That's the only reason he's really there is to just make your defense a little better.
Turning off wilds is the bitch of it.
I do love playing him with Crimson Dynamo because it is annoying.
Yeah, it makes it so impossible.
Yeah. And then as soon as they realize there's 2 bubbles they have to ignore, they almost just give up and move into the middle of it, and then it's just like so much worse.
It's problematic.
Alrighty. So let's move into our next segment. Aaron, you went to Nashcon.
Heck yeah.
Yeah.
Can I title the next segment? I have a title for it.
Sure, go for
it. Why timers are useless.
Oh, God. Well, I guess we now
Nailed
have
it.
what we're going to talk about first.
Nailed it in one.
Do we want to have chess clocks be the segment, or do we want to talk about that at a separate time?
Let's do separate time.
Yeah, it's a pretty side note. Most people already know how we feel.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So I don't want to... Go ahead.
Well, I was just going to start with general Q&As about the weekend.
Sure. Okay. So what am I going to do? With? I traveled with Ryan, local, a fabulous human being. Drove to Nashville. Took about, 8.5, 9 hours. Just talked the whole time. Had a great time. Showed up, went to bed. That was Thursday.
Last time I drove to Nashville was for a Chiefs game. And we stopped at War Machine Weekend on going through St. Louis. So we got up early, got in St. Louis at like noon, stopped at War Machine Weekend for like 6 hours, and then drove the rest of the way after we were there. And
I remember that because I was at War Machine Weekend.
It was pretty fun. Yeah, it was actually a pretty good trip, honestly. We got into Nashville. It was pretty early. It was like 1 or 2 a.m. And we check into our hotel, and our hotel is not as safe as the pictures looked online, I will say. There was a lot of people trying to get into our room overnight, which was a little concerning, considering we were many states away. But it all worked out. We checked out in the morning and went to the Chiefs game. Had a pretty good tailgate experience in the parking lot, and then we watched the game and drove back. I got to yell at the Chiefs owner, Clark Hunt.
Well done.
And I only say yell because I was we were in like the 5th row in the corner, and he was walking off the field, and I yelled his name so loud over the crowd that he heard me and turned to look, and I waved at him, and he waved back. He went into the tunnel. It was pretty funny.
Aww.
Yep, I could tell I startled a little bit. I can yell pretty loud when I try.
But did you play in the team tournament? I didn't hear about that.
Yeah. So Friday was the team tournament. We met our third, Ryan and I, Andy, Friday morning, which was a lot of fun. Casual player, but good. He played Asgard, Ryan played Hydra, and I played...
Wakanada.
Yes, Wakanada. So I'll just give you some of the highlights. I jumped straight into the fucking frying pan, round 1, into Star-Lord with Thanos and Cosmic Ghost Rider.
Weak.
Yeah.
Babyless for babies.
on Research Station, and they decided to drop. Yeah.
Jesus,
Star-Lord, Ghost Rider, Nebula, Bill.
I assume that you chose points then?
I can't remember. I think I did. I don't recall.
That sounds scary.
Blacked out, woke up. Thanos had
blood all over. Very sweaty, yeah.
I countered with Black Panther, Shuri, Okoye, Hulk. I will say normally Hulk is a horrible call into Cosmic Ghost Rider because Cosmic Ghost Rider will own Hulk. Mm-hmm. However, you just have to be very careful about how and where you play him, right? It was a researcher, so I figured if I could keep Hulk alive for 4 turns and murder his scoring models, I probably had a good shot to win the game. Mm-hmm. So I spent those turns not putting Hulk on points so that Nebula couldn't own him. Throwing Cosmic Ghost Rider and staggering him, and then getting Prio, I think, on turn 4 and just dazing him. So, going last with Hulk turn 1 meant that he didn't get to go on me then. The daze on turn 4 meant he couldn't attack me then. He had a stagger at one point. So I think he only had 3 possible attacks he could ever make into Hulk. And Okoye was there. Ghost Rider can pull her away from Hulk, but depending on terrain and how you set up, you can make that hard. So... a very technical, cagey game I was able to win.
Just confirming, does that mean he rolled poorly on his power generation on turn 1 that he couldn't attack Hulk?
He did not roll 5.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Because according to my math, he can attack Hulk on the first turn.
It is statistically possible. I don't think he ever lost Psychosis, so he did not roll horribly. But he also did not own the world.
Okay.
Our team ended up winning, so we were 1-0.
Nice.
Yep. We went into the second round. I ended up going into the Bob, is his name. A really great guy. Again, Star-Lord. Fuck Guardians. He did not have Thanos in his list, just Ghost Rider. So we played Gamma, Struggle for the Cube, and he played Star-Lord, Cosmic Ghost Rider, and Hulk. Yeah, there's no big boy meta. Don't worry about it, everyone. It's totally fine.
The water at this point fine. You're like, please, anything but Guardians for the rest of the weekend. And then God whispered down, don't worry, I got you.
Yeah. So I countered with what I wanted to do. This is at 15 again. I countered with super wide Wakanda with Black Panther, Killmonger, Okoye, Toad, and Quicksilver. So I played 2 4s, 2 2s, a 3, 5 wide at 15. And I went up 4-0 on the extracts, turn 1, and just did everything I could to stay alive. I had 4 models dazed, turn 2, 2 models KO'd, turn 3. I threw 1 attack all game, and it was the last activation of turn 3 by Panther to push his Star-Lord, score the middle gamma, and win the game. So
goddamn.
Nice.
I played Wakanda like you play Webs, and I just ran around and survived. The highlight of the game is start of turn 3. Okoye and Killmonger are both dazed, flipped, standing next to his Cosmic Ghost Rider. And I'm like, okay, I had terrain blocking where he could pull people. So unless he did weird like placement shenanigans with Ghost Rider, which meant then he couldn't spend her, like he wasn't going to be able to get around Bodyguard. And he's like, aha, I have this tactics card. It's called Sucker. I will play it, and Star-Lord and Ghost Rider will combine to drain Okoye of all of her power, or all but 1, and then go into Killmonger to eliminate the largest threat I had to his models. So that was super cute.
Wow.
Any questions about that game? Yeah, exactly.
Why did he have Sucker?
Because it's situationally really fucking good.
Mm-hmm.
Like, how do you get around a Bodyguard? You're like, I drain all your power. You can't Bodyguard anymore, and now I go into you.
Yes, yeah.
Like, there are some people who have bunches of power, like Hulk maybe doesn't need his 8 power, so he's like, you can have 4 of mine. And Star-Lord takes 2.
Mm-hmm.
If you're playing a super murder list, and your opponent is often injured, I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, it seems like a bad card, but it was baller. Like, there was no fucking way he was getting Killmonger off the board turn 3.
Yeah,
until all of a sudden he did.
Just being able to like zero out Cosmic Ghost Rider would be cute. Like just like middle of the turns, like, oh, you're gonna activate him last. That's cute. Nope, and he just loses all of his power. Like that would be cute.
Well, see,
like, it's obviously costly.
Even more than cute, it's good.
Mm-hmm.
Like in every situation, like you just described, Cosmic Ghost Rider has 5 power. Like, would you pay like almost 1-for-1 power to drain him off of almost any model you own? Probably. And maybe that's a bad example, but there are lots of situations where you would gladly trade your power 1-for-1.
No, I think Cosmic Ghost Rider is actually really important because he doesn't actually generate power very easily. And he's always got a use for it.
Right, but like he could just sit there. If he still has Psychosis, he turrets twice and he's still rolling 6 dice with skulls into you.
Sure, but he's not moving and he's not dragging people. Like, I'll take those attacks.
Sure. Or like Apex. Or like Apex, flips with 4 power. You're like, I take all your power, I laugh in your face.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there are lots of models that love their power more than maybe some of yours do. So,
there's also a lot of times people have like fallback power or recal power or exceptional healing power. And it's like, man, all I got to do is get rid of 1.
Exactly.
And I can get through this. Yeah.
So
Bodyguard's another good example. It's just usually Bodyguards. It's like, when you're going in, the Bodyguard usually isn't injured yet, so it's like more of a later game card, which is fine.
So here's my challenge to our listeners and us, is keep Sucker as a phantom 6th card in your games next week. And just make a note of how many times you'd be like, man, I would love to play this card right now if I actually had it in my roster.
Just like put it to the side of the table and be like, man, I wish I had this.
Right.
How many times would you give up one of the cards you actually had?
Yep. So, again, I don't think it's going to be over 50%, but I do think in some of those games, it would be ball breaking. So, that's my hot take. I'd love to hear what people's feedback is.
But, Aaron, I don't attack my opponent models, so
you should adopt a better life.
Yeah.
Okay, my third game was the highlight of this day. This was into Guardians with Star-Lord. Sorry, not Star-Lord. I'm looking at GG. It's Spider Foes with Sentinel Prime. I just really loved the models, the concept. Some were painted brilliantly, and my opponent was fabulous. So, without going into any of the actual game specifics, this was a fantastic game.
Okay.
Our team ended up going 2-1 and either tying for second or placing sixth if you like tiebreakers.
Which are you going to call it?
We tie for second.
Okay, there you go.
We only lost to the team that won, so I don't know. Sounds like second in my book.
Spoilers came in second.
That's right. Okay.
All right. So that was cool. Talking about the next day, we obviously already talked about your list last week.
Did any of those games go to time?
No, none of those games went to time.
Okay. Jeremy is pissed about the clocks.
I was just checking.
Okay, so we'll take a quick break. Out of the 11 total games I played, how many games do you think went to time? Parker?
2.
You're low.
11.
11. You're high. Jeremy?
14.
Right on. The answer is 3. 3 of my games went to time. 3 of the 4 games on day 3. So the Top Cuts games, 3 of the 4 of them went to time.
That sounds about
right. Guess. You're never going to guess. One of my games went to time due to excessive hugging.
Was it consensual excessive hugging?
It was consensual excessive hugging.
Okay.
Yes. We'll get to there. That was day 3. Or sorry, game 3. We'll talk about that one. That was hilarious and fun.
Oh God. I'm uncomfortable.
You should be. Everyone else in the room was too.
Okay, so I don't know how much you want to talk about the games. Obviously, we don't want to just do a bunch of battle reports.
Yep.
So, what was the round 1 matchup for the qualifier?
Into X-Men. X. It's a big X. Weapon X. Into Weapon X. It was a good game. I just managed to outposition him and leave his expensive models on 1 point and walk away with a 21-15 win.
Nice.
It was a great opponent, Ian. Game 2 was into the 1 in a fucking million chance you told me I had as we drafted this roster last week.
I need to confirm. Did I actually say the words 1 in a million?
Yes, you actually
said
said 1 in a million.
You did say 1 in a million.
There's a chance.
I mean, at the rate you play games, we're getting close to that 500,000 mark. So
we are. Yeah.
But I hold strong on this line.
Yeah. Anyway, I went back and re-listened to our cast, and you're like, so first of all, no one's going to play Mystique because Deception's been nerfed. No one's playing Brotherhood. So you're not going to run into him or her or that team, so you can put Senators in your list, Aaron. So
I believe I also said, and even if you did, they have to lose Prio and you have to flip Senators.
Sure. So all of those things happened except one.
Yeah.
They won Prio and got my Senators, so I ended up playing against Mystique Brotherhood on Senators, which I brought. I actually got called out by my opponent for taking too long to make my first action. We talked about it after the game, which finished well before time was called. He doesn't know me in terms of pace of play, and so I understand. On the other hand, his entire list with Deception is built to fuck my first move. Right? Yeah. So I really have to decide, and it's not something you can fully decide prior to deployment because I don't know where the fuck Mystique's going to go.
Yeah.
So I've got to see where the models are, and then I'm like, okay, now I can make a plan as to who's going to go where, pick up these things. Can I afford to throw Toad and just let him die, et cetera, et cetera? And all of this has to go through my mind. And again, I would have gladly played on a clock. But anyway, he did call me out after 3 minutes and be like, "Are you going to do something?" I'm like, when I figure it out, I'll let you know.
Yeah, and I don't want to turn this into a time argument like Jeremy does, but we will talk about this in a further time. Yeah. Clocks, yeah. No, but we'll talk about this in the future, and we'll use this specific moment as a talking point. But obviously, no ill will with the guy. He just, that's where the situation you're in when you're playing on round timers.
No ill will at all.
Yeah, exactly.
I did not. In fact, I appreciated his willingness to address an issue he had with me. And then I did with him too. Not him, but you may know that. We'll see if you know. What is my one rules pet peeve in the game? The way people play.
Oh, it's when I illegally measure something and then see you illegally measure it in the same way and point it out to you.
Yes, that's it. Parker, do you know what my pet peeve is?
Your biggest pet peeve?
Rules. It's the rule that everyone breaks all the fucking time.
You measure things, measuring deployment. You measure range rulers during deployment because you're not allowed to do that.
You are not allowed to do that. That's correct. Say
like to point that out.
I'm going to guess and say putting down like more than one of the same template is my guess. That's what I'm going to guess.
Ish. It's using a range tool to place, and then nudging your model to be exactly one away from an objective or two away from a bodyguard.
Right.
So sense. Like moving after you've or measuring effectively the placement, and then after you've placed, adjusting it with the same range ruler to another thing.
Or like measuring and being like, oh, I'm obviously within range 3 for this web swing, so now let me place exactly one away from the objective. Like, you can't fucking do that. So this happened in this game. Like I
just want to make sure people at home understand. Okay. It's because you can only have one range ruler out at a time. So if you're using web swing to place 3, you cannot simultaneously check range 1 from an objective.
So anyway, he did that with Hulk with the first activation. Like he walked up, picked up my Senator, and then gamma leapt back onto his Infinity formula, and he used range 1 to place Max toward me, right? Because he wants to get Max advantage in placement.
Yeah.
So I noticed it and I let it go. I was like, we're not going to be that guy. We're just going to play the game, right? But then
sounds like you're growing as a person.
Yeah. Then it just kept gnawing at me. Like, man. And so at the end of the round, actually a little bit before the end of the round, I was like, you know what? I just got to say something, right? And so I did. I pointed it out and like, could we just not do that again? And he was going to undo it, and I'm like, no. If I really cared, I'd have stopped you then. Like, it is far too late. Like, you're good there. I don't mind it. I just thought I could just get past it, but it just gnawed on me for 15 minutes, and I was like, okay, I'm going to speak up. In the end, I was really glad I did. Once you get past that like social awkwardness. And I'm really comfortable. Like, it didn't come up again in a game, but if it did, I would be totally happy to be like, actually, you can't do that, and here's why. If some people don't know. So, anyway, in actual takeaways from the game, I was able to isolate his Hulk on one side, and he scored 3 points from his Mystique token, Hulk, and the Senator he was holding. But then I killed Mystique and Pyro, and neutralized Juggernaut by stealing shit off of him. So, divide and conquer worked very well, and with Infinity being so far apart, he couldn't really counteract that. I really think the Mystique team suffers at 17 because they really missed that 5th model if they want to run 2 big guys. Any questions about that game? Okay.
Do you think I was right? 1 in a million.
I refuse. I refuse to answer that question.
Do you think I was right? I feel like the equivalent would be like you went to LVO. I'm like, don't play the slots. You'll never hit the jackpot. And then you put in $1 and you pull the lever to go 776. And he's like, see, I told you. I'm like, it didn't happen. Like,
okay.
I feel like that's the equivalent of what just happened. And you're like calling me out.
Yeah, I'm totally calling you out.
Aaron, are you saying I have a poor perception of the meta?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, good.
Yeah. Round 3. You're never going to guess what model I played into for the second time in a fucking row.
Mystique?
Yes. This model that we won't get played anymore because Deception was just nerfed. But instead, I'm playing into a list that is titled Follow Me Was Not the Problem. This is by Ben from, I believe, New York. Goes by Right Mad on the forums. He's been around. We saw him at LVO.
We saw him at LVO? I met Ben?
I don't know if you met him. But
I have zero recollection of this event, but I can already tell I like the cut of his jib based on the name of his list.
Yes. Yeah. So he was running in this particular instance Malekith, Mystique, Cosmic Ghost Rider, and Bullseye.
That is the list I'm actually afraid of.
Yeah.
I put a lot of thought to Cosmic Ghost Rider while you were gone. I was like, you know what? Maybe something like this. Like, yeah, that would be scary. And then I was like, we probably should have talked about it before you left.
And we played on Intrusions, which is the worst, probably the worst I could get other than Researcher. Because webs have nowhere to hide against those fucking models. Yeah.
I think the only thing that would have been close to as bad would have been Mayor Fisk.
Sure. Yes. There were lots of bad combos. This was definitely one of them. So this was the hugging game. So Ben is like a 6'5". He is not fat nor beast, but he's a bigger guy, big bushy beard. And so he dazes Toad turn 1. It goes into I think Gwen on turn 2, like, pulls her forward with Ghost Rider, incinerates her, double taps her, and fails to kill her. Something to that effect. And he was just, like, staring at the table. And I said, so something about me, I like to be jovial and have fun while I'm playing. Right? I'm not super tense. So I was just like, do you need a hug? And he was like, yeah, I do. So we met at the end of the table, gave a big hug, and came back to playing. And then it kind of became a meme through the game. So every time he would make a bad die roll, I'd be like, do you need a hug? And he'd be like, yeah, I do. And so we'd walk around and we'd hug again and then go back and play.
Are you guys more at like the end of a row, or are you walking past like 5 tables each time to hug?
We were at the end of the row.
Okay.
Anyway, a great game of me trying desperately not to lose all of my fucking models and him trying to kill them all. Black Cat earned her weight in gold with like multiple staggers on both of his big guys.
Mm-hmm.
And I just like blocked well above my weight class in the key moments that mattered. I ended up taking it down 17-12. This game did come to time. The hugging was not the reason, but it was him staring at the board going, what the hell do I do? Like, I only have 3 models because I've dazed one, and like all of these are bad, right? When you're behind the 8 ball, because he was focused so much on killing me, I was able to just score the points. And then he's like, I don't know that I can daze every single model next turn. And he's just trying to think through it, right? And that just takes some time when the obvious answer is I lose, you're like, well, let's look for the non-obvious answer then. So that just ended up taking a lot of time. And so the round timer got called, and I ended up with a 17-12 win.
Cool. Do you think the list would have been scarier if it was just Red Skull instead of Mystique and Bullseye?
He was also playing down a point. So.
Oh, well.
On purpose.
What if it was Mordo instead of Bullseye?
or Zemo.
Or Zemo.
Yeah. There different choices could have been made, absolutely.
I assume that he had a plan with his list that caused him to not have that.
I did not look at his whole list. I assume you are correct.
And we just talked about looking at your opponent's entire list.
Mm-hmm. And I already told you on last cast I don't do that. So
yeah, my God.
He refuses. He doesn't need it.
You're demoted.
Yeah. All I see are Malekith, Ghost Rider, Mystique, and I'm like, play whatever you want, man. Like, he can play Wide Cabal. He can play exactly what he played. Like, who knows what he's going to do.
You are now Team Lieutenant.
Yes.
Instead of Team Captain.
Exactly.
Team Lieutenant.
Alrighty. So
this was the one match where I played Dynamo all weekend.
Did he help?
Ish. Like, he ended up picking up a point and moving to where I thought he was going to go with Malekith, and Malekith went the opposite direction, which kind of won me the game because I had like 2 extracts and the secure on the side. He decided not to go charge, and he probably did that because Dynamo was there. So indirectly, he did very, very well.
Trying to avoid disruption, went to the side of the table with less points on it.
Yep.
Yeah, I can only imagine that's why.
Yep. So I think he was key. But anyway, that's the only time I got.
Is this the game you said you only had like 1 health bar left on the board?
No, that would have been my Wakandan game, my second Wakandan game.
All right.
Yep.
Okay. What is next, sir?
Okay. Now I get my spoiler alert. First of 5 straight games into Avengers.
Specifically Sam Avengers, right?
First of 5 games. Jesus Christ.
Sam was in all 5 lists. Jeremiah,
but one of them was Steve leadership.
Yeah, he chose Steve once. So this game was against Sooner, who was running the typical Sam build. We played at 20 threat. This was the second game I ended up running ASM, which ended up convincing me to never run ASM again. Funny, you should have mentioned that.
Same.
ASM was possessed turn 2 and did shit all the rest of the game. Possessed ASM is really sad.
Mm-hmm.
This game really came down to his Bill failing to kill Gwen one turn. My voodoo possessed 3 different people. His voodoo ended up getting owned by ASM. After ASM got possessed, he was like, okay, well, I guess I have one job now. That's to kill you.
Yeah.
ASM then all webbed up all team members but 1. So I got 5 of his team members and 1 infinity point. Dazed Luke Cage, who took a Heroes for Hire from Voodoo, and then I think Dazed Voodoo. So now he's got to play a little cautious with his Voodoo because he's dazed. So just a lot of back and forth. Nothing particularly noteworthy other than the failure of Bill to kill Gwen on one turn, I forget which one, and I end up pulling out a 16-15 victory.
Cool.
That sends me to the final for round 1, and to Mike DeLuca. We're both 4-0 at this point, and he runs the exact same squad, except at 17 instead of 20. And if you're not familiar, the 17-point Sam Avengers squad is usually Sam, Iron Man, Luke Cage, Doc Voodoo, and Bill. That was in every 17 or higher threat Avengers squad I faced. Or Sam-led squad I faced, rather.
Well, you are the expert, so you would know.
I would. This game was super, super cagey. Spider Infected screwed both of us. My Voodoo got pushed every time. His Bill got pushed every time. We ended up tying round 1, 5-5. We tied again to go 10-10. We tied again to go 15-15 at the end of 3. Then
was there any trading of objectives in that time period? Or were you guys just kind of turtling?
There was...
Because I know sometimes you can get like same scores, even though like there's a lot of activity.
Yes.
Or was it
so
a slow game?
No one is dazed until I daze his Voodoo turn 3, because he finally possesses someone, and then I all web up daze him.
Gotcha.
So I want to say that he probably stole one off of me and I stole it back.
Yeah.
Turn 4, he possesses and runs. I have one option and I take it, which is to... Oh, I had Prio. Gwen pulled him in and failed to kill him from within 2. He then possessed and ran, and threw people. My black cat moved long, cat clawed him to death, became unpossessed, and picked up the extract. He then one-shot Black Cat with a regular Friday Air Repulsor Beam from Iron Man, picked up her extract, and time was called, and the game ended. Because my people had been pushed off of points and then Voodoo threw them, he was able to score out 5 versus 2 in that final round when time was called. If we play out the round, which we did kind of in our heads real quick, we tie, and I am advantaged going into the next round because he's down to Voodoo and I'm not. Which basically means I go last, which I didn't get to do in either the game against Sooner or this game. I had Prio both games, and we had matching numbers of characters, which is very bad for Web Warriors. Like, I need to go last so that my displacement matters. Instead, I have to be proactive with the displacement that he then fixes, and then he screws mine up.
Yeah.
Because this team from Sam has a shit ton of displacement.
Well, not even that also, but like he has Avengers Assemble, so going last means that one turn of the game he can not only fix displacement, but take advantage of the fact that he can just pile people on points.
Right. So for multiple reasons, I am significantly advantaged going into the next round. Like my Voodoo is finally back on the point with like 4 power. Like I can just double walk, possess people, and do anything. But instead, time gets called. And so Mike has said that it probably would have been a win for me. What I am going to do for this game going forward is just call it a tie. Because that's what it was in the round previous, and that's what it probably would have been at the end of that round. I don't think it's worth me saying, oh, well, I would have won, right? We both looked at the game like, okay, but I didn't, right? So, whatever. I also don't really care about win-loss. I mean, I care about the thought process that went into the specific actions I took throughout the game.
Yeah.
I mean...
I think it's fair to say that the person who cares most about win-loss for you is Parker.
I was about to say, I care about win-loss.
So, realistically, I went 4 wins and a tie on day 1, even though Longshanks will show a loss.
Yeah. But conveniently, the result of the game, which is, in my opinion, I haven't actually asked your opinion, is a great thing in this exact situation, is the outcome of the game was completely irrelevant.
That is 100% wrong.
It wasn't? Okay.
So Mike and I both made top cuts, but Ben, who I beat in round 3, ended up going 4-1. But because my strength of schedule suffered due to my loss to Mike, Ben was 10th, not 8th. So other people besides Mike and I were directly affected by the fact that I, quote unquote, probably should have won that game had they not been using round timers.
Yeah.
So let's leave it there and maybe readdress in a future episode.
We're definitely going to talk about this in the future. But keeping on point, at least it didn't knock you out of the finals. I guess we'll say that for now.
Sure.
Obviously, strength schedule is going to fall a lot of weird ways. Like, let's say, what in my opinion, you used round tires, that probably should have been called a draw because you should have been allowed to finish the turn. And so, resulting that game in a draw would have similarly affected Ben's strength of schedule, but maybe not to the same degree.
True. I have no idea what he would or wouldn't have. Mm-hmm. And I don't know that it would have catapulted him to 8th. I imagine it would, or higher. A draw may have done that as well, or it may not have. Like, who knows?
Mm-hmm. So anyway, that takes us to final day, which is top cuts. They did top 8, I believe.
Yep.
I originally was under the impression they were doing top 4, but was that always known it was going to be top 8?
Yeah, it was always top 8.
I really like that. I wish more events would do top 8s. So not just do one big event.
Yeah. So there ended up being, I think, 2 undefeated, and let me look real quick.
I think I counted there was like 6 or 8 X and 1s. Probably 8.
I don't know why it's just showing me top 8. There were definitely more. How do I go back?
They're 2 different tournaments.
I thought there was a top cut results. I can't find that in Longshanks right now. Round 5. No. Oh well. Not horribly important, but there were definitely more 4 and 1s that did not make. There it is. So it went down to 10th. So there were 2 people who went X and 1 who did not end up making cuts next day, and that was purely based off of strength of schedule. So kind of feel sorry for those 2 gentlemen, but otherwise, top cuts the next day. Okay, first game was against Jimmy from Gamers Guild, playing, you guessed it, Sam Vengers. This was a wider scenario than I'd played so far. It was Extremis and Senators. He chose 19, and all I can really say here is I think I won this game on the strength of positioning. His voodoo ended up way off on one side, and I just shifted to the other side. His voodoo had an extract, and so what that means is he spent a power turn 1. If he's not attacked or being attacked, he's not gaining extra power. And so it's just taking him a while to build up power. And like a voodoo that is, 2 moves away from any of my models and has 2 power is fucking useless. Like, great. You can just sit there. As soon as you get 3 or 4 power on voodoo, if you can double walk possess, now I need to do something about you. Mm-hmm. So for the first couple of turns, I was able to kind of negate what his voodoo was really able to do. And he had to go and like double move his voodoo from one point, the side point, to his back point. I won't get into specifics, but anyway, it was a lot of positioning. I learned from day 1, and I did not go 5 wide ever again. So I ended up playing 6 wide with voodoo and the standard team of Miles, Spider-1, Black Cat, Ghost, Spider, and Wong. So it was the standard 17, and I upgraded Toad to a voodoo.
Yep.
And it worked really well. Nothing else really to say about that. Questions?
Pretty much every time I go 5 wide with webs, I always ask why I didn't go 6 wide later. And I think the answer is just always go 6 wide. It's that extra person throws such a wrench into so many of the normal strategies to beat webs.
I mean, I might go 5 wide if I didn't have Prio. But with Prio, like again, from the first 2 games I played the other day, like going last is so important. And if I can never go last all game long, because the only way I'm swapping Prio is if I kill you, and that's not what I'm trying to do. So anyway, without having Prio, I have to go as wide as possible. Mm-hmm. So took that one down. Ended up playing Jeremiah England in the semifinal. We actually went out to Jeremiah and his brother Aaron the night before, where he bemoaned talking about all of his tech. He was playing a you can't fucking damage me, I don't care how hard you try, Avengers build with Heimdall and Crimson Dynamo. Good thing I'm not trying to damage him, so that didn't affect me at all. But he ended up playing Bill, Steve, Sam, and Hulk on...
Did you guys talk about your possible matchup at dinner?
No.
Okay.
Did not.
I just figured since you guys were both in top 8, I didn't know if you talked about the possibility.
Nope, we didn't. We should have. This was the first time I played on pay-to-flips all weekend, which you'd think would be bad, and you're right, it is. On the other hand, with Hulk and Mutant Madmen, that meant Hulk had to... Oh no, he went middle, and he picked up both cubes. I was super aggressive with Spider-Woman, and I dove his back point right in front of Crimson Dynamo. Oh, sorry, it was Crimson Dynamo, not Bill. But right in front of Crimson Dynamo and Steve. He put 5 damage on me with those 2 models, at which point I fell back because I was an idiot. I think a little fatigue was getting to me now, and I don't like to admit that, but it was. Because I fell back so the Mutant Madman trap would not kill me. I wanted him to have to spend an action to kill me next turn. Instead, I was holding a cube and died anyway. So, burned a card for no reason. Yep.
Oops.
I forget what he does with his first activation of turn 2, but it wasn't kill Spider-Woman, which made me happy, because Spider-Woman then didn't fly, but she glided next to Hulk. She spendered to pick up both of the cubes he was holding, and then double long moved away. Do either of you see a problem with that course of action?
I knew this, but I actually caught it in the moment also.
Wait, help me understand this again. Try again.
So she used I don't fly, I glide to place. Then she spendered into Hulk to make him drop his tokens.
Sure.
Picked them both up, then double moved away.
Why is that bad?
It's not bad. It's in fact quite good, except it's illegal.
Yeah,
because it's 3 actions.
Oh,
yeah. So again, I figured I glid, right, so I could save my move, so I could still double move, right. That's why I wanted to glide, and her I didn't care about the. In my mind, it wasn't an attack; it was popping extracts off. Just like Black Cat does, right? So for whatever reason, it's
Black
my
Cat and Voodoo have poisoned your mind to think that's how the game works. Those models need to be banned.
So some combination of that and my 10th game in 2 days, and yeah. So it was like 3 minutes into his turn when he's like, "How did you do that?" I'm like, and this game is recorded too, so you can see my complete buffoonery in a recorded game at some point. I was like, yeah, sorry, that was like blatant cheating. Now this was on his next activation, so I just moved back. It didn't end up actually affecting the game. Otherwise, I probably would have needed to forfeit the game, like if we realized it later than that. Yeah, and from here on out, I just move all of my people. Like I had my back right Mutant Madmen, and my next activation with Gwen was to double walk back. So I'm behind Spider-Woman. Like Gwen is on my, not deployment line, my back edge. So that if he wants to walk forward and hit Spider-Woman, I can lifesaver her backwards. At the end of the game, I was playing 6 wide. Black Cat was over on his back left Mutant Madmen, staggering Hulk every turn. Every single other model of mine was in my deployment zone. Like, it was pretty insane how hard I ran. But when you're holding all of the extracts, that's something you can do. So yeah. I did, and just ended up scoring that out 16-12.
Like a coward.
Cool.
Yes. That is my middle name.
Like a warrior.
Like a
web warrior.
Like a warrior poet.
Yeah.
I get what you're saying, because he's like a keyboard cowboy, right?
A keyboard cowboy. Oh my god.
Finals game into Sooner again, who I beat 16-15 the other day. Now, for whatever reason, I decided to play this differently. I think it was just to be different, if we're just being honest. I also wanted to see if I could possibly put him behind the 8-ball. So this is Scrolls and Infinity formula. I play 6 wide. He plays 5. So I'm winning already. So Infinity is really, really bad for me because I'm not playing Voodoo this game, whereas I did play Voodoo in my game against him the other day. So you
didn't play Voodoo because you were trying to be cute?
No. I didn't play Voodoo because I wanted to go 6 wide because I won Prio again like a fucking idiot.
What was the points?
17. I played the 6 wide webs into his 5 wide Avengers. Spider-Woman, Miles, Cat, Gwen, Toad, Wong. So the problem is, so I love the team comp. Like you're right, it's a great team comp. But on Infinity formula, Voodoo shuts down that whole side of the board. He just fucking owns it.
Well, yeah. I mean, he's completely broken, and everyone knows it.
Yep. So he's got his Voodoo deployed right. The quote-unquote correct course of action is to have my toad walk up and take the middle, and then have Spider-Woman take the one opposite from Voodoo. So, like, Voodoo can't possess her. Instead, I deployed Spider-Woman to pick up the middle, and I deployed Toad across from Voodoo. So I pick up the middle scroll with Spider-Woman. He takes the left scroll with Bill. My next move is to double move Miles to his scroll and pick it up on the middle. I roll and get pushed towards him. Is that good or bad, Parker? Very bad. Good job.
Yeah, very bad.
I was confident you'd get there. Don't worry.
Yeah, I was too. Well, just in case he wasn't, I'll give him the answer.
Ooh, that could have been a bet opportunity.
Yeah, could have. Now he assembles Voodoo, who was on the far right, back to the middle to double tap Miles. Doesn't kill me, but gets enough to possess me and forces me to drop it. He then picks up the right scroll with Iron Man, and then moves Sam to his back left. I go with Gwen last, who had been powered up by Wong, to double move next to Sam and pull him off the point. So at the end of turn 1, I'm up 5-3 because I am on every single Infinity Formula plus 1 extract, and he has 3 extracts and no Infinity Formulas.
And if you had made the coin flip to not get pushed, then you would have been up 6-2.
No, because I think Luke Cage at that point is sitting on the point with Sam. Like, it plays out completely differently. Because his Voodoo and Cage are not on points because they were involved in the downing of Miles. So we'll see. But if the downside of me being aggressive and failing is what happened, like, I'm okay with that, conceptually speaking.
Yeah.
Anyway, I make one mistake all game, and until I see it again, then I'll notice several more. He goes into Gwen, fails to kill her. I decide to get cute and walk around a truck to pull his Bill backward and then move to the far left side of the board. So I do that. Later on, his Bill walks up and doesn't quite kill her, but is able to attack her within range 2 while still being on the Infinity Formula. If you can kind of picture what that would look like. Mm-hmm. On the right side of the board, his Voodoo kills Miles, walks over, possesses Cat. Cat, double cat claws, kills his Voodoo. He refuses to pull the possessed token back, which is smart, because if he doesn't, I just steal Iron Man's objective. Mm-hmm. So he just lets Voodoo die. Long story short, I end up killing Voodoo turn 3, like KOing him, using all webbed up to do it. And I own the whole right side. Like, I end up getting Iron Man's objective, and I own both sides. But it took me too long to do that. Because Spider-Man had to help kill Voodoo, and he's not in a position, or Miles rather, to get over to the left side to help out Gwen and Wong, who ends up dying this time to Bill instead of surviving. Mm-hmm. He just, eliminated Gwen from the game. So what I needed to have done, instead of walking behind a truck to pull Bill backwards, was just double move Gwen toward my back board edge somehow. Like, Gwen needed to be able to live to have an impact on the game later. So, sacrificing how close she was for the one short pull of Bill lost me the game. The other part that contributed to that was when I Cat Claws Voodoo turn 2 and killed him, that gave his Bill the short move towards her.
Yeah.
So, the combination of those, and I could never have predicted I would have dazed Voodoo with 2 Cat Claws. It's surely possible.
It's so important to get him off the table too. So
I wouldn't have changed it. Yep, I absolutely go into Voodoo. I just needed to. Again, I knew I needed to keep her as safe as possible. I just tried to get a little cheeky with getting some, a quick pull out as I left the danger zone, if it were. Mm-hmm. And I ended up losing 16-15. So. I think I played it pretty well. Again, 16-15 is going to be a great game between, we'll call it good players. I prioritized Voodoo. I had him KO'd turn 3. Long term, again, once Voodoo's off the board, I still have 2 Steelers, or Spider-Woman and Miles. So, I don't know. It was a good game. Hats off to Sooner. He made all of the right calls. Played it exactly the way he should have, and did not make any mistakes. I made one that and you can argue that being aggressive was a mistake, right? I will call that a it was a decision I made that is controversial, as much as controversy you can have in a strategic war game. But the actual mistake was with Gwen. So I made one serious mistake. He didn't make any, and he won the game. So good job, Sooner.
Whoa. Strategic
Sooner's
war
definitely
game.
Good and practiced.
I'll go ahead and disagree with that phrasing, because almost all the games you just described is I walked up, I pulled this thing, I took this token, he did this with this token, he did put this token on me. He didn't take the token, he kept the token, which is good because he had the token. It was like I think I heard I did an attack roll maybe twice in all of those stories. So I don't know if we can call it a strategic war game so much as I don't know what checkers, but I really
strategic without pressing the attack button.
Yeah, strategic. What is it? What espionage? I guess would you have to call it like. But I'm not taking anything away from your expert play. I really am not. I see what Nigel means now.
Yeah. So it was interesting. So I spent most of the weekend putting my opponents in the think tank. Right, that's why games are going to time. Like my first Cuts game went to time, and that scared the shit out of me because they called time, and I'm like, "Fuck! Did I just lose this game?" Like I was solidly in charge of that game, like up 5-4, up 5-3, up 5-4, and I was in a solid position starting round 4, and then all of a sudden, boop, time. I'm like, "Fuck!" That game state.
He frantically look at the board.
Yes,
yeah.
He actually won the last round because he had possessed my miles and flipped. That extract. I still had my voodoo to go. Like I still had lots of, like I was still probably going to win that round. But just because of when time was called, he ended up winning it. It didn't matter because my lead was big enough before then. I ended up winning 2017. But talk about an oh shit moment in your throat, and you're like, did I just lose game to time? Holy shit!
Surely, like we said a bunch of times, we're going to talk about this more.
Yeah.
But
anyway, so I was putting my point was I was putting most of my opponents into the think tank because they were behind on points. They're like, how do I win this game? And long story is they don't, but it takes a lot of time to get there, and they're not willing to admit it. So that was me in this game on turn 4. I think I took 8 minutes analyzing board state, and at the end of 8 minutes, all I do is put an activated marker on Toad. It's like, longest and most unimaginative activation ever in the history of MCP. Mm-hmm. But it was just me trying to determine, obviously, whatever. I won't get into it. Yeah. It was a fun time.
Cool. Well, congrats on taking second. I will tell you right now, your strength schedule is actually better than Sooners. So
yeah, I had the highest strength of schedule in the game or in the tournament. My opponents were really, really good, which was awesome. I had a great time.
You also scored the most VPs in Top Cuts.
Ooh.
With 51. 51 3 games is pretty good.
Yeah, I'll take it.
Let's see. You had 87 in the Swiss rounds, which, just doing a quick glance here, looks like you were tied for second by VPs. Oh, tied for third.
Scrub.
Yeah. Trash.
Let's talk real quick about some of the data, like list data. I find that interesting.
I want to know.
Okay.
Ooh, holy shit.
What?
So, can I ask some questions? We can do some little Q&A here.
Okay.
I assume that Parker and Jeremy are not looking at the numbers?
No, I'm not.
Is that correct?
No. Are you on long strings right now?
No, I don't want you to look at it.
I'm not. Okay, deal.
What was the most played affiliation in the Swiss tournament?
In the Swiss tournament, I will guess Guardians of the Galaxy.
No, it was not.
Huh.
Avengers.
So, it was Avengers. Guardians were third. Can you guess the second?
Cabal.
No, it was Criminal Syndicate.
That's
Cabal
weird.
was fourth, though, so that was a good guess. After that, we had Midnight Suns and X-Men and Hellfire Club and Weapon X with 4 players playing Weapon X. That almost seems false. I don't believe.
Is that actually Weapon X or people who are playing X-Men and
right? And that's what I'm curious. It's like,
so,
well, technically they were playing. Like, is that?
I played against a Weapon X.
I know you did. That's why I'm asking.
So what you can do, so you're looking at players, look at games. So players are kind of lie. So if you look at webs,
that's true.
It says there are 2 players who played webs. That is incorrect because 8 games were played and all 8 were mine. So someone had a web warrior leader in their roster and chose to put webs as an affiliation they could play. Whether that was even legal.
You do the drop-down boxes.
Right. Whether it was legal or even possible or desired, who knows. But anyway, so look at the games played. That'll give you a better
perfect example. There were 5 players playing defenders. They played a total of 5 games.
Yes.
It's like, yeah, okay, buddy.
So there was one person played defenders. Mm-hmm. So with 12 games of Weapon X, yes, several of those 4 people were actually playing Weapon X.
Yeah. Yeah. Interesting. I can't believe there's only one. You were the only webs player. That's nuts. Why do people refuse to accept that webs are good?
I don't. I'm going to make a prediction. I don't think they'll ever agree that they're good. I think
I'm happy. Keep them in the dark, man.
Yeah, I know, right?
I do not like that.
It makes me so happy that people don't realize.
Oh, Nigel will be happy because
if I play in a world where it's all Sam and all fucking webs, I don't even want to play.
But the thing is, Sam is clearly like the word's been out on Sam since day one. Like there was a time you guys might remember. What was it, like 2 years ago?
It took about 4 days for Sam to get good.
Yeah, and he was the meta, just saturating everything for what was 6 months, and then a couple of wrenches were thrown in there, and it started cycling around again. But that never happened for webs. It never did.
I don't think Sam has ever been out of the top 3 in the meta, and he's been nerfed 5 times.
Do you know what Sam's counter is?
Webs.
Sam.
Webs.
Yeah,
it is webs.
Yep, they don't have to attack.
Or a webs-like affiliation that's just going to steal shit, right?
Yeah, they're weak against go-wide lists that don't have to attack to score more points than you, which is literally webs. Criminals is the other one because they don't really hit hard enough to take criminals down. So criminals is dicey for them, but criminals are just punished by everything else in the meta, so it's not really a problem.
And I will say Voodoo is the linchpin to that Sam list because he just allows them to maintain parity, and then one turn he's just like, fuck it, we just swap 2 points. And all my models are so tanky, you're not getting it back. Yeah,
that so fucking obviously Sam needs to be destroyed out of the entire meta. Or not Sam, Voodoo needs to be completely nuked out of the meta. Like, that model cannot exist in competitive play, and we've known it since the day it was printed.
Yeah. I think it's absolutely fascinating that Sam doesn't play like a blowout style, like you said. He wins because he stays exactly parity until one turn he goes up 1 or 2, and then he continues parity, and then the game's over on turn 4 or 5, and he can play that game almost every time. It blows my mind.
I think the secret to his longevity is not anything about the list. It's just that there's so many rubber band forgiveness mechanics built into Avengers as a whole that he's the most consistent of all of the things.
Right.
It's not that he's the best, because I don't think Sam Vengers is the best list, and I don't think a lot of people think it is, but it's the most consistent list. And one of the hardest things to do in a tournament is not have a bad game that knocks you out. Like, it only takes, oh look, my opponent spiked 3 rolls on turn 2 and went up 5-1, and I just can't recover because I never had a good turn to make up for it. And Sam, that just never happens, because every time they get one of your people, you get a huge attrition swing back. Right. And you just walk out of threat range. Like, it's so hard for them to double dip against you.
Right.
And then you have Avengers assemble on top of it, and a lot of really premium models. Like, it's so hard to attack them that they're just generally good.
So the primary benefit of Sam is his threat level. I don't look at a lot of the premier affiliations in the game. And by that, specifically Guardians, Avengers, and X-Men, right? All have 3-point leaders. So in that Sam list that has 3 3s and 2 4s, Sam is a very viable 3, right?
Yeah.
He is not a 4 threat in the 3's body. Like, he is not worth 4 threat, but he is totally worth playing. If there was a different leadership, you play him in Avengers, right?
Sure. No, totally. He's a +3. Like, he's a premium 3 that has a amazing leadership on top of it. Just like Storm, in my opinion.
But like in all of my games, his leadership did almost jack all. Like, it'll do 1 or 2 things a game, but nowhere near as much as, like, say, Steve's leadership. But the fact that Sam is a 3 enables that 17-point Avengers team to run Voodoo and Bill as your 4s, and then Iron Man, Luke Cage as your 3s, is what seals the deal. Because if you run Steve and you want those 2 4s, now you have to run Black Widow, right? And so that team comp, it's the team comp that wins the game. It's not Sam. Clearly, that's an opinion of mine, but it's Sam enables the team comp by virtue of him being a 3 threat and a good 3 threat, regardless of his leadership, which does nothing against control teams, and then comes in very handy against the attrition folks.
Right. It's not just that his leadership is good, because I think everyone agrees his leadership is good. It's combined with the fact that's multiplied by all these super efficient, like, 3-point stat blocks that you get to play with. Yep. Like, you get Sam, you get Iron Man, you get Luke, and then you're adding on top super premium 4s and Bill and Voodoo, and, like, everyone's affiliated. So it's just like everyone's getting all the bonuses. It's really, really good. But, like, if we were to swap Sam's leadership and Malekith's leadership, both of the leaderships are good, but, like, Malekith doesn't really want Sam's leadership. Like, he actually prefers his. And Sam prefers his as well. They don't want to switch. It's because they multiply it so well by the composition they play. And so it's a combination of, like, everything multiplies on itself. It's like the tactics cards, the missions, the characters, the leadership. It's all great together.
Yep. So real quick, back to the stats. There were 3 unused affiliations. They will come as no surprise.
Winterguard.
Yes.
Dormammu.
Nope.
What?
Mm-hmm.
It was played in 1 game.
This is but 1 game nonetheless.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. Okay.
Wow, it is literally the 3 baddies.
X-Force.
Yep.
Now, see, I do think Weapon X is a bad affiliation, but not because they don't get results, but because they aren't conducive of strong play. And so they're really good as a Yahtzee machine you can throw at people occasionally and get wins out of it. But I don't think they're good as, like, a strategic affiliation. They end up holding you back more than helping you.
And what's the third affiliation that was unused?
Winterguard, X-Force, and...
Oh, it's so obvious.
That's the problem, is you gotta think about the one faction that never plays.
Just picture a giant trash can in your mind and tell me what the first thing that pops in.
The Wooden Defenders.
They got 5 games.
Yeah.
Jeremy doesn't own these models anymore.
Sentinels.
Oh God.
That was too easy. You gave him too big of a hint.
Sorry.
The fact that, holy shit, Defenders got the same amount of games as Spider Foes and more games than Shield and Asgard. That's nuts.
I find the lack of Shield to be
disturbing.
Yes, I was going to say I couldn't find the right word, but yes, that was disturbing.
Actually, you know what I think it is people are just like, I'll play them in a month when they're busted.
I don't know.
I
think people are waiting on all the new models.
I think this is something we think. I don't know if this is shared by everybody.
Maybe. It's entirely possible. Yeah, it's crazy to me that A-Force only had 3 games. Fucking Christ. Shield only had 4? That's insane.
How many players were in the championship games?
53.
56?
53, I think.
Yeah, 53.
Okay, so give me the breakdown of how many Avengers, what was the 3 main ones?
Well, so it's hard to... So the player count is very inaccurate because you can just click the checkbox for what affiliations you're playing.
Okay.
And some people are not honest on those. And so it's wonky, but it's 10 Avengers, 9 Criminals, 7 Guardians, 7 Cabal, 5 Midnight Suns, 4 X-Men, 3 Hellfire, 4 Weapon X, 2 Inhumans, 2 Convocation, 3 Hydra, 2 Web Warriors, 2 Brotherhood, 2 Wakandans, 5 Defenders, 1 Spider Foe, 2 Shield, 1 Asgard, 3 Black Order, 1 A-Force, 1 Dark Dimension.
Okay.
And those were ranked in order of games played. And so when you saw the numbers go up and down, it's because that's how many actual games got played.
That's not too unusual.
So 20% of the field had an Avengers roster or dual affiliated with Avengers.
Yeah.
How about this? Oh, that's a good way to do this. I wish I could cut off the bracket. Okay. So the top 4 affiliations had 127 games played.
So the highest win rate percent in the game on the field was Dark Dimension.
100%.
100%, 1 of 1.
100%.
Hells yeah! See, that's how he does it.
This is just the qualifier or the qualifying one, not Top Cut. But what was the second highest win rate?
I'll give you a hint. It's 80%.
Spiders.
Webs.
Yep.
Webs.
I would say it was you.
And after that, Avengers. 32
so that's
games played.
5 games. Yeah. Avengers had
yours was an easy one because you're the only
one.
Played. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was 1-0, then 4-1, and then 23-9.
72% win rate with Avengers seems
with over
abnormal.
30 games played. That's not good. I mean, obviously it's a small sample size of players.
Sam's win rate was what? Parker, what was Sam Wilson's win rate?
Sam Wilson's win rate.
You need to tell fucking Jeremiah
70%.
Quit tanking the Avengers win rates.
88.
Jesus
88.
Christ.
He was 15-2.
Holy shit.
15-2.
Yeah.
Dude, that's
now here's the problem. I'm gonna go off on a little bit of a rant.
Sure.
Go.
So why was Sam Wilson's win rate so high?
Because 3 of the best players at the event were playing him.
Yes. So
we're all in agreement here then.
Yeah.
So that the issue is both that Sam Wilson is good, but it's also a self-perpetuating, prophecy.
Right. If the best players choose to play what they think is the best, the numbers are going to reflect that it is the best because the best players are playing it.
Right. Exactly. So when you have good people get together and play different stuff, that's when you'll get actual win rates to come out. But just because, let's say, Mike DeLuca and Sooner both choose to play Sam, they both wanted to play their Shield and Wakanda rosters respectively, without putting words into their mouths, but they felt more comfortable into the meta with Sam. I totally get it. You don't know what big baddies are going to come out. Let's going to play the thing that can handle that instead of this other thing that I really like. In fact, in the finals game, we popped the Secures that I think Sooner wanted for his Wakandan team, but he felt more comfortable being able to win with Sam. So, again, had they played those teams, instead of going 5-0 and 4-1 on day one, maybe they go 3-2 and they don't make final cuts, and that's what they're worried about. So, again, without putting words into their mouths, they're not willing to take that chance to go 5-0 with Wakanda because they might go 3-2.
I would love
to
know,
understand. Yeah. I think that's a good point.
I would love to know what the partnering models with Sam is as well. Is it
go through the rosters
88?
And see...
Yeah, is it 88% with Sam and Voodoo in every single one of those events? Honestly.
I think you'd be hard pressed to find Avengers list that doesn't have Voodoo in it.
That's what I'm saying.
But in that game is what he's talking about. Did they actually play Voodoo all 5
squads.
games?
I mean squads. Yeah, I think you'd be very hard pressed to find a Avengers squad without Voodoo.
At 15, I think you might have some options.
Sure. So the point I'm looking at here, so in 32 games, even if we say 10 of the games played are by these 2 guys that went 9-1 in there. So if we take out that, what does it make it? So that drops it down to 13-8. No, sorry, 14-8. Which is still a pretty healthy win rate, even if we cut out those 10 games played by those people.
Mm-hmm.
88% is still more than interesting.
Yeah, 88% in a sample size north of 30 in a single event should not be happening.
Yep.
And it's easy to point at something and go, oh, well, S.H.I.E.L.D. have a 67% win rate. Anyone who knows anything about statistics knows that's a very odd number. Oh, it's because it's 2-1. So that sample size is irrelevant because it had to be one of 3 numbers. And so until you get a large enough sample size. So let's move down to Hellfire Club. Hellfire Club played 13 games. Do you guys want to take a guess at what their breakdown was?
Take a shot. 4-9.
Parker?
I'll say 8 and 5. You said 13 games,
okay.
Right?
You guys split the difference. They went 6 and 7. Okay. So pretty much 50% win rate. Like technically it's a 46, which in a large sample size, you're starting to get to the area where you start taking a closer look, but obviously in this sample size it's fine. Cabal had 26 games played.
I think that's 26. 18-8.
I'll say 26, 14-12.
12-14. 46% as well.
Ooh.
All right, so everyone thinks Guardians are right up there, right? So Guardians played 29 games. What do you think the split was? They were the third most popular faction.
Well, I knew Aaron England played them, and I know where some of those games went.
Well, it's 29 games. He only
No. I know. I'm just razzing him.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say it's somewhere around 50%, being that's how it's falling.
Okay.
I'll say 13-16.
Well, okay. It was 12-16 with one draw.
With
one That's why I had to pause for a second.
I got really close.
That is weird.
Gotcha.
So yeah, we'll give you that one. That's cool. So 43% win rate with Star-Lord. Apparently,
I would actually
4 of those games did not report their leaders. So
yeah. I would actually say I actually think that's really true about Guardians. I think as strong as everyone agrees Guardians are, I don't think we'll ever see them super perform at tournaments. And I think it's what we just talked about. I think really good players don't reach for Guardians. And I think it's because there's something kind of vanilla about them. They don't seem to push the envelope as hard as other affiliations do.
I think vanilla Guardians are that way.
Yeah,
I think the Thanos and the big guy Guardians with Thanos and CGR are definitely less so.
Right.
But their Thanos Guardians definitely gets reached for by good players on a fairly often basis.
That's true.
So what I heard was, Pat Dunford, you suck.
Yeah, that's what I was
going to say. I think it was been
as
proven.
A friend of Pat's, I would like to say that Parker doesn't speak for all of us. He only speaks for Aaron and himself.
I think we just said that I think a lot of players, a lot of high quality players, reach for Sam because they like his incredible consistency. I think a lot of players, like a lot of high level players, do not reach for Guardians because I think they think they're inconsistent. I argue the opposite. I think Guardians is super consistent, but I think they think it's less consistent than something like Sam. But
okay. I think the perspective of Guardians is that they're also very consistent like Sam. So I don't know of anyone saying that they're not consistent. I think the new advent of CGR might have that like new sheen on it where like he is kind of dicey and people haven't really figured him out yet. So if from that perspective, maybe. But I think the tried and true Guardians is pretty well known at this point. And I think that a lot of people do lean towards them for the consistency, but they don't stick around with them for very long for whatever reason.
Do you think, here's a posit, do you think newer players, because, I have to imagine that at Nashcon, even in this event, there were some newer players because they just wanted to try a bigger tournament. I feel like people, when they're early in the game, reach for Guardians before they reach for something like Sam Avengers. Am I wrong in that? I feel like that might be true.
I think that's really just an individual basis kind of thing. Okay. I don't know if there's like a large sample size we could pull from on that.
Well,
I think the reason that people do get away from Guardians and move on to other things is because while the Sam list is well known, the Guardian list is fairly inflexible despite how it appears on the outside. Because you're like, oh, well, you bring like 5 or 6 guys in every game. Sure, you can take whatever you want. Well, you can't because your list starts with like Star-Lord, Rocket, Groot, and then you add in like Nebula or Gamora depending on the situation, or a big guy. And it's like, so by the time you actually look down at the list, like it's already built. Like every Guardians list builds itself almost. Like the models you get to actually choose are basically which 4-pointer am I bringing, or am I bringing Angela? It's basically the 2 questions you get to ask. And so the lists are just very samey every time you play, which I think is what drives people away. It's not because they're not consistent and good, it's just that they get old because you're always playing the same models.
I'll argue that a lot of affiliations actually feel that way. I think it's rare to find an affiliation that doesn't feel that way, but sure.
But I think in a lot of other affiliations, you can choose to make that one difference, like that one change, and it doesn't like completely mess up your list.
I will contend that in Avengers you can absolutely do that because their roster is enormous, and choosing
it's so wide.
Yeah, and choosing Black Panther versus Spider-Woman is a similar choice and doesn't wreck your list. Yeah, I agree. And
for the
Guardians
time,
doesn't have that. Guardians doesn't really have that.
For the longest time, Guardians were take your 8 points of affiliated models and then take as many points of unaffiliated as you could. And so a lot of people played that for a while because it was fun. But then, that got not good all of a sudden.
Okay, last question from the event statistics. One beautiful individual ran criminals with Claw. Jeremy, did they win or lose?
Oh, they won.
I wish you were right, but you're not.
Oh! Son of a bitch.
All 4 leaders represented.
They didn't pick up 4 hammers and blow up the world.
Maybe they did, but it didn't result in the game victory. So whoever ran Claw, hats off to you. And with that, I just want to give one final shout out to every single one of my opponents. You guys were awesome. Ian, Bob, Jakara, Ben, we'll have to hug again soon. All the Top Cut guys. Fabulous. Anyway, that was Nashcon.
Yep. Cool Z's.
Thank you for representing us.
Yeah, thanks for going. Thanks for wearing your shirt.
Yeah.
You remembered.
Everyone will give you $1.
Mm-hmm.
I was just thinking of where he was driving around in the race car with that giant emblem on the front of it, and he's like, "Yeah, this is really
this is very dangerous, but I do love Fig Newtons." All right, so we're gonna have to get out of here if we're gonna make time in the post ramble. So
do it.
Thanks for listening, everybody. This has been Brandon
and Parker
and Jeremy. # looking for cooks.
And Aaron.
And you've just listened to Tales from the Con.
So what are we going to call this thing?
I got it. Okay. Incredible, new, fantastic, astonishing, mighty, original, uncanny, sensational podcast.
I'm just going to put down infamous.
And we did it.
We are back. I have 4 cheese curds left to go.
Is that why you have gastrointestinal distress?
No.
You should probably stop if it is.
The one thing I did notice, and I haven't really noticed it before, is when Parker claps, it sounds incredibly stupid.
Sounds about right.
I mean, it sounds different than you'd think it would sound.
Mm-hmm.
It sounds
it's very separate.
Yeah.
It's like a clap, but
when
way
somebody
dumber.
like accidentally backs up into a pole. That's what it sounds like.
I was listening to last week, and I was like, "Oh my god!"
I wasn't here last week.
That.
Or
it was the week before when you were talking about your clapping and how it sounds weird.
Oh yeah,
you're like, it has to sound different, right? And everybody's like, no one listens to it.
I don't know. I feel like it's important.
You're like, wait, that time wasn't as good as it could be. Can we roll back and do it one more time?
Mm-hmm.
I can do it better, I promise.
Mm-hmm.
So,
I'm done eating.
Do you remember what happened last time I came back from Florida? Bonus points if you remember.
Did all your cooks get trapped in Mexico?
No. That was a different time.
That was a different thing.
That was a different thing.
Okay.
So last time I came back from Disney World, and immediately something happened.
Was it a global pandemic?
No. One of my cooks quit. So I was immediately down a cook, which I had been down a cook. Then I hired someone back. They worked basically until I got back from vacation and then immediately quit, making my life miserable. The cool thing about history is it repeats itself. So, I've returned. They couldn't wait 12 hours for me to get to work tomorrow morning before letting me know that my cook today decided to show up drunk with alcohol on the line. And basically,
like they're sitting there cooking while drunk, and they have like a bottle of Jack on the counter.
No, like a cup. A cup that was then investigated.
We're civilized.
And asked to go home.
Most people drink out of red Solo cups while they're on the cooking line.
So basically, I get to go back tomorrow, and they're going to come in, and I get to say, hey, you need to go home. We're going to talk with HR and get a paycheck and terminate them. So then I get to go and get fucked again. Like, again. Yeah. It's like the commercial we were talking about, again. That kind of thing.
Man.
Aaron, do you remember what I was trying to make Jeremy's punishment on the last cast?
You were talking about the TBD punishment, yes. Did you get a hold of Jorge at his job?
I did.
Okay.
Well done.
I'm just saying, don't fuck with me. Mm-hmm. I'll get people that work under you to quit so your job becomes hell.
There's no way to control anything they do. Just so you know. Quit, not quit, show up, overtime.
I find you give one person a free handout of whiskey and all of a sudden, it spirals.
Chaos.
Anyway, are you saying that you won't be there to game tomorrow?
Oh, I have to do dinner now, so it'll be later than I had imagined, but I will be there.
Nice.
I went from going in, doing a few things, no big deal, and then coming to game at like 3 o'clock or something easy, to like now getting out of there at like 6:30 p.m. covered in fucking grease and sweat. Like, Jesus Christ, guys. Like, seriously. Dear listeners, if you're looking for a career choice, do not choose the food industry unless you're already buried in it and you have no other options. Jesus Christ.
Is it just because it's just no one wants to stick to it? It like no one's interested in making it a career, so it's...
Well, I think part of the problem is also specifically where he works is like it's not the most money you can make being a cook, and it's also not the easiest job you can have being a cook. So he's like in this weird middle ground where it's nice and consistent amounts of work, but it's not easy and it's not luxurious. So I think people leave partially
they
for
don't
those
make
reasons.
for $50 an hour at my place, and then everywhere else they make 20. And also it's a trade. So everyone is looking for someone. So like they can leave my place and go get a job anywhere else and make the same money or better. So it's a rotating door. And because it is a trade, like you get all dregs, like everyone. So, and basically it's like if you are of a higher caliber, you're not a cook for 30 years. You're in my position. You're climbing up out of it and then running shit and making real money and making a career. But then you're in my position, which means that you're handling this stuff, which isn't great. So yeah, the next step of the ladder is IT, I guess. Like I told my boss, I'm like, fuck it. I'm going back in school for another 2 years and just gonna fucking learn Microsoft or some shit and just get a certificate.
I'm going to learn to personal computer, and then I will be able to do
I will learn to computer. Listen, I learned how to black stuff out. I know you were proud of me. I could tell.
Dude, I can't tell you how shocked I was that you figured out how to do a spoiler on Discord. I had honestly, like, when I saw it, I'm like, okay, well, this is a joke, right? He just screenshotted this, and then just posted a picture. And then I looked at it, I'm like, no, this is actually, he learned how to do it. And, like, initially I had, like, all right, so who'd he pay to do this for him? And I was like, well, maybe he YouTubed it, and, like, there's a chance that he figured it out after much trial and error through, like, aid. But I'm still going with somebody showed him how to do it, like, or did it for him.
I ran across that at some point in my life. Yeah.
So it's a YouTube.
Well, I know you used to do the forum stuff, so maybe you just remember how forums worked, and it just happens to work the same way on Discord.
Yeah, basically.
He didn't know how to send a personal message for over a year of using Discord. Like, I would send him direct messages, and you go, oh, that's just a one-way thing, clearly, and just left it at that. It's like, that's clearly not anything I can do. He's probably some kind of admin. Like, that's why he's allowed to send direct messages.
He clearly lives on the nets.
Yeah, he's doing this via the dark web.
He has some sort of plug-in thing. I don't understand it.
Mm-hmm. I use multiple widget add-ons to allow me to send direct messages.
Awesome.
All right, Parker, there's something you want to talk about? I don't really understand what's going on.
Oh, so I don't know. We can keep this a pre-ramble, I guess. It's just fine. I don't really want to talk to you about it because you know the story, and you're just going to have to hold on. But I would like to tell Jeremy, because Jeremy really didn't get to hear any of this, and I feel like
Jeremy had the exact same opportunity to listen that you did.
So, Jeremy, this is the tale. This is a tale of woe and want, and a gracious man in his humble heart trying
the best of times. It was the worst of times.
Trying to do his very best to prop up my success and. Bless his big soul. He ended up stepping on my spirit, and I wanted you to know how. So, last week I'm over at game night. At the Geekery. I get there super late, and Richard, big heart that he has. He go ahead and says, it's 10:30. Let's play a really quick game. Let's get done before midnight. And so we're really cooking. Brandon's being nice. He says, Parker, I want to tell you something when you get a second. I go, okay. So while we're trying to get this game done pretty quick, Brandon says, so we met a bet on the last cast with some of your demerits. I go, oh, what's the bet? And he tries to describe it to me, and I
want to point out that he did not say that's not okay. He just said, what was the bet?
I said, what was the bet? I wasn't immediately against it. Absolutely. Yeah. And so he tried to describe it to me while I'm trying to listen to him, and I'm trying to pay attention to what Richard's doing and trying to go fast. And he tries to describe to me that Aaron did not think he was going to perform very well at Nashcon, and Brandon disagreed. So they made a bet about that. And I got kind of confused about the stakes and like what was going to happen. And so I Brandon could tell that I was a little confused. And so he tried to break it down, and he just said, you want Aaron to do well at Nashcon. And so I go, okay. I was like, how well? He's like, well, the bet's about him going 4-1. And I go, okay. And so that's what I caught. That's what I understood. And I was really excited where, flash forward 2 days later, I'm getting, updates from Aaron on the Discord. He's telling me about how great he's doing. And I'm excited because Aaron's doing great. And I always want Aaron to do great. And I'm going to bed with a big old smile on my face because Aaron is going 4-1 in this tournament. Finally, things are turning up Millhouse. I finally have, maybe I'm winning some.
He has an avatar that's helping him work off this debt.
Oh. And I'm so proud of Aaron. And you know what? I'm a little proud that he took a risk and made this bet. So I'm listening to the podcast the next day while I'm mowing the lawn. And I get to the part of the podcast where they make specifically the bet. And when he says it during the podcast, I hear it again like the first time I heard it. If Aaron goes 4-1, I win, merits back. If he goes 3-2, I gain demerits. And so I'm listening to the podcast, and all of a sudden I get to the very end of that segment where very briefly Brandon just kind of summarizes it. He goes, so you're playing Web Warriors. Parker loses if you go 3-2. Yada, 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 yada. And I didn't hear anything after that. I immediately stopped the podcast hard. I haven't listened to the rest of it. I stopped right then. I went straight to Discord.
Turned off the mower. Just stop mowing in the middle of the yard.
I was mowing. I was just quit. I just turned it off. This is the middle of the night too, because it's so freaking hot. So I'm mowing in the dark. And I turn off the mower in the dark. I immediately turn on my Discord and I just start flaming hard. Just instant rant in Discord like, you motherfuckers. No one bets against Aaron going anything better than X and 1 at a tournament. No one bets against X and 1 with Aaron, even much less if he's bringing Web Warriors. I guess I might imagine a world where Aaron goes worse than X and 1 if he's playing Cyclops, as he is oft to do, to just purposely try to derail his own success.
I would like to point out the fact that some people do, and those people are primarily me.
Right. And so I would never in a million years bet against Aaron playing Web Warriors. Never in a million years. And so, as soon as I discovered,
if you were here, we could have known that.
As soon as I discovered,
so they bet for you,
we had to bet for you.
So as soon as I discovered it, I realized two things. One, the bet stands. I'm losing. I'm gaining demerits today.
Yeah,
it's happening.
Glad you realized that.
That's the first thing that happened. Two, I am rescinding my earlier promise to make good on my shaved head bet. Shaved head is out. I am shaved head again.
No, I don't think we can accept that.
And I am out with shaved head again. It's again. I was in, and now I'm out again. I have to go straight out. My energy of activation went just straight up to the top. I'm up to here with it. So shaved head is back out. But you know what? I think I'm gonna have to gain demerits because Aaron bet against himself playing Web Warriors. Which, you know what? I think I put it best in the Discord. I said, my hair follicles could not suffer your beautiful, humble heart, Aaron. Your unwillingness to always aim low, which I think is a beautiful thing that you do, because you're always very satisfied. But, man.
So are you upset that you misunderstood me at the store? Because it sounds like it was actually kind of a small blessing. Because it made you not dread all of Saturday.
That's interesting. Had also, I perfectly understood you at the door,
it didn't let you root against your friend Aaron. It let you be honest to your heart and root for your buddy, as opposed to wishing him ill. Mm-hmm. I think it worked out for the best, for everyone.
Oh, I had a fantastic weekend until Sunday night. I had a fantastic weekend. I was so satisfied.
Did you? I mean. The fact is, they made bets, and you really didn't know that there was, 2 tournaments that you had to rely on. And if it was a 1-round tournament, I think that you would have gone X and 1 because that's where you were headed. Mm-hmm. But being it was a finals table, you ended up losing 2 games. So that was an oddity in itself, right? Like you were headed to an X1 day. So yeah, that's kind of unfair. I would definitely. So if I were you, Parker, I would fight this. Honestly,
really?
I think that you have. Yeah, I think you have grounds.
Well, I'll tell you what. We are willing to accept the Parker Punishment Committee is willing to accept an appeal. You can file that via directly me, and we will.
Are you the HR department?
Ruling on that. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So.
This
so
never
what
goes
you
well.
say,
I'm going to tell you right now. This better be clear.
You are welcome to have a committee advocate for you in the form of John. John can make his case.
See, this is an interesting idea. So Jeremy, you're saying that because he neither went 3-2 nor 4-1, the bet must be annulled. Is what you're saying? Is what I'm hearing you say.
It was actually 2 tournaments.
No. The guess was in the sweaty event. Was he going to go 3-2 or 4-1? And he went 4-1. And then the second tournament, which is the top,
didn't he go 5-2?
He went 2-1. No, he went 6-2 over 2 different events.
Okay, 6-2. Sorry, 6-2.
Yeah.
6-2. I mean, that's not 3-2, nor is it 4-1. Interesting.
I don't know these. Listen, whatever
I understand
they tell
for you non-computer people, this is very confusing.
Just listen. Just lay down and cover your neck. That's all you can do right now, Parker. Just lay down and cover your neck and let them do the damage, and then you will eventually be able to get back up.
Like I said,
do not fight.
I already decided I'm not going to. I'm getting the merits, but I am not shaving my head off. That's the line of the sand I'm drawing. But yeah, I will be upset, but I have demerits. But I have demerits.
So Parker, if you listen to it, you'll know that I tried to change it after it was made.
What did you try to change?
I didn't. I'm not kidding when I said I immediately turned it off and just like, I can't listen to more of this. I actually tried afterwards. I'm like, it's gonna make me too nervous.
So I honestly thought I would go 3-2. Like I did not think I was gonna go 4-1 better.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So from a realistic perspective, I was trying to get you some demerits knocked off. But then after I thought about it for like 10 seconds, I was like, but that means the better I do, the worse Parker does. I was like, I'm not sure I want to like cheer for that, right?
Right.
So I was like, no, we're gonna make the stars align as opposed to like crossing in the night. And so I said, actually, let's change that. And Brandon was like, nope, I'm okay with that bet. We're good. So if you listen,
it's written in entirely erasable ink on the webpage. It definitely can never be altered.
Thank you. By the way, Aaron, I hold you completely harmless in this. You were taken advantage of by a lout.
How dare you?
Now you understand how we all feel about you every episode.
that I'm being taken advantage of, and you just get to watch it. It's such a shame.
Yes.
Okay.
All four of us see the rake. We watch you approach it. You look down at the rake, and then you just stomp it.
Yeah, double-footed hop
face.
directly onto it while holding your hands behind your back. Just whap.
I see, said the blind man, and he picked up the saw. I get it.
I have a small video I sent to Alex a while back that is a guy who he's trying to cut this board that's on a ceiling. His ceiling has like wooden panels on it. He's trying to cut the end of this one board because it's a little too long and it won't fit in. So he gets out his chainsaw. And his chainsaw's running. He's holding it up to the board. And he's going to just go up and then pull it back towards himself to cut the board. And then he's going to, push it in the rest of the way. I don't know if anybody else knows how a chainsaw works, but there's this chain that wraps around the blade and is moving, powered by the engine. And so as soon as the teeth hit the board, it kicks the saw back into his face while he's standing on a ladder. And it's quite good. It's one of my favorite videos.
Some of that stuff is crazy.
Mm-hmm. Oh, boy. Aaron, I was rooting for you so hard.
Mm-hmm.
I was sending so many positive vibes.
I felt them.
Good.
You felt them in your brain's heart.
Yeah.
All right. So for the format today, I am under the impression we have absolutely no news as per usual for the last 10 years.
We have our usual format of winging it.
I actually did have one thing I wanted a little bit of list dojo. I've been staring at this list I've been playing recently, and I feel like I've learned a lot. But I would like to know what there's two paths I feel like going forward. One of them is like really kind of slashing it in half and trying not exactly from scratch, but basically half scratch. And another one is just tuning it a little bit because basically I found chafe, and I wanted to know what you guys think I should do with it to keep playing it because I've decided I really enjoy it.
Okay. We definitely do some currently playing Dojo.
I think I could do the Nashcon recap, but more in you guys asking me questions about stuff as opposed to me being very dry about just a list by list of games played.
That was kind of my idea.
Yeah.
Alrighty. So we're gonna do some Nashcon recap Q&A. We're gonna do some list dojo stuff. Did you talk to Gil while you were there?
No. Oh. I mean briefly, but we didn't discuss WTC stuff.
Okay.
I guess I could check the website right now, see if they have anything out.
That would be some fun news. Jeremy, you said the movie category was
final fights.
Where like there's a fight between two people at the end of a movie, and it's like the climax of the whole
has
plot.
To be there has to be like there's tons of movies that have fights in them, but this one also has to have like the classic like a finish fight.
So like for just a pure example, the movie Commando, it's just a general action movie, but at the end of the movie that's like Schwarzenegger versus that dude and they fight with knives at the end of it.
Bennett was his name, and yes.
If the movie has fights in it throughout the entire movie, that's more of an action movie, right? That's not a fight movie.
It is an action movie, but at the end of it they fight with knives.
No, then that would just be an action movie.
Okay, so you just mean fighting movies that have...
Wait, what? Really? There's a really big build up to that fight, the whole movie, and then there's a big fight at the end.
But that's every action movie.
I thought
that's why I was clarifying, because it seemed very vague.
Well, not every action movie has like a duel at the end. It's
not about the end. I'm saying it built like the fights happen throughout the movies. I could give you an example of a shitty one that no one's going to pick, but you've probably seen it. Lionheart. Have you watched that stupid ass thing with or anything with like all the Van Damme movies?
I was gonna say Van Damme,
but those are action.
There's tons of them.
But those are.
Well, but just because it's an action movie doesn't mean it's a fighting movie.
Correct. There's fighting movies. They happened a lot in the 80s and 90s. There's a lot.
Okay, so specifically, I'm not trying to pick here, sir. I'm just trying to do details here. So I'm gonna give you another similar example to Commando, Under Siege. Exactly the same content. A lot of like generic action. At the end, there is a knife fight between the antagonist
Under
and the protagonist.
Siege would count because it has karate.
It's got a lot of actual
long ass fighting, dumbass things.
I see. So
and
Commando,
he's a karate guy. It's fucking stupid.
Okay,
but
I
like
see.
John Wick wouldn't count, even though there's a decent amount of like hand-to-hand fighting and martial arts in it. There isn't really a fight at the end. And it's not really enough fighting.
I mean, if that's what you want to pick, whatever. It's not what I would consider like whatever. It doesn't matter that much. If you feel like it's the best fighting movie ever for that, then go for it.
Well, it clearly is, so I'm going to go with that.
But I mean, I've got a whole list of them that are pretty good examples of that. Like, I'll give like Rocky. Rocky would be a fighting movie.
So you're thinking
they fight many times, and at the end there's a giant fight.
So I guess what I'm saying, it sounds more like, and I'm using this term extremely broadly because a lot of people would think when they hear this term, they think of only a specific culture's version of it. But you're thinking like a martial art. So not like, and martial arts, I know when I say martial arts movies, people immediately think of karate, kung fu, but boxing could count, kickboxing could count, Taibo could count. Any of these like athletic.
Usually they're along the lines of like, fight a guy, do okay, fight a guy, lose, fight a guy, win, fight the main guy, lose, fight the main guy, win. That's usually the style of these movies.
Got it.
And I mean, they were, like I say, they were big. I mean, Mortal
it's really
Kombat's
just
one
fighting movie, right?
I mean,
every fighting movie has a big fight climax.
Yeah,
sure.
And I mean, an action movie blends a lot of it too. But if you feel like that action, like Steven Seagal movies are generally fighting movies, right? People go to see him do his fancy shit, even though he's kind of a tool. Right. But some of those are okay.
Mm-hmm.
But those are generally action movies. But if you want to call them a fighting movie, fine. That's fine too.
Okay.
Yeah. Like Jason Statham movies also.
Yeah, if you love those, that's great. Those are fighting movies too. Because, I mean, that's all they do. They fight through the whole goddamn things.
Okay. Mm-hmm. What's the joke? Steven Seagal snaps everybody's neck. Like that's...
Yeah. Or like Chuck Norris. Chuck Norris movies are all fighting movies.
Right, I get you.
You know what I mean?
I'm with you.
Or even, what are the 80s? Like all the, what are those called? Death. What are those called? It was Chuck Norris and that one other guy was doing movies all the time. Good Lord. The 80s were full of these movies.
I get
American Ninja.
Okay. I think I very much got you. I think I'm good.
Yeah.
I just wanted to make sure I wasn't...
and I think this is fairly broad,
sure
too. Like, I think they can fall in there. It's not that big of a deal. If it's a movie you love, shit, man, it doesn't matter that much. It's not that big of a deal.
I'm with you. When I heard you say not Commando, I mean, I wanted to make sure I didn't.
Yeah, because Schwarzenegger's not really a fighter guy.
No,
he's just a muscle throw people through window guy.
Yeah.
Those usually aren't fighting movies. They're just
stab
people in the neck.
He was never a martial artist or a choreographer, right? That's not really what his thing was. Yeah.
Like if you call like Commando that, then it would be like Jason Voorhees is also fighting movies. Like
I'm with you. Yeah, I hear you.
And I would, yeah.
I'm fine with that distinction. I'm just glad I know the distinction.
And I don't know that those are legit distinctions, but they are in my head.
I know what I was using, like the final words, like the final part is the part that was.
Well, the one that kept popping up in my head, and I kept thinking about, is like Michael Keaton's Batman, because they had the Joker and Batman fought on the rooftop, and it was a really long fight, and it was pretty epic, and they just beat each other up, and finally Batman wins and all of that, and I'm like, that was a pretty good little fighting movie. Like they fought, but I'm like, that wasn't the point. Like it was a superhero movie, and it had like so much more like storyline. Like that's not what it was about. Mm-hmm. I caught like a 35-pound. They're called like a bull red or a redfish from the beach.
Oh yeah,
that goddamn thing was as big as my kid almost. It was crazy. I carried it in like a baby, threw it in the cooler, and it wouldn't even fit in the cooler.
Nice.
It's humongous.
This is in Florida, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, we ate a bunch of those when we were down there. I never caught one or tried, but
yeah, they're really good. Redfish.
Yeah,
those are
they're really, really good. Red snapper, I think is the
red snapper are different.
Oh, they're a little different.
Fish. Yeah, red snapper are smaller.
Hello, Jeremy.
I'm back.
I'm back too. Did you also have to poop?
No.
Oh, me neither.
Yeah. Neither did I.
Sold it. Nobody expects. Okay, fight movies. Should they be good ones or just any?
Your favorites.
The ones that you like, for the love of God.
Jesus Christ.
That's, oh boy. I don't know if I should tell you now. I don't watch fight movies.
Oh my God. Everybody did during the 80s and 90s. You had to have. You would have accidentally have seen one.
I've seen some of them, but like, most of them are unnameable Steven Seagal or Jean-Claude Van Damme movies that I have never watched again, so I don't remember
you are now
anything
passionate about
them. Yeah, extremely
tape
passionate. Yeah.
The Betamax tape will no longer work.
Sounds about right. Ooh, forgot. I've seen that one. There's so many of them are just the same fucking movie over and over again.
Oh, see, like mine are. I feel like they couldn't be more different.
No, but like that's the problem. Is like the ones I've seen are not good ones because I don't like go see the good ones.
All right. Well, there'll be a nice list for you then. You can watch a couple good ones because there's some good. There's some actually good ones out there.
Yeah, I could tell you that my dad has always been so big in these kind of movies. I've seen so many of them.
Oh boy, I am gonna get roasted for these picks. These are gonna be so bad.
Oh my God!
Join the crowd.
Right.
You're gonna be like Jungle Book.
Okay, maybe not that
bad. Toy Story 2. Like what?
I have one sleeper pick that I don't actually like, but I'm going to say it because it's a movie I've seen. That I don't think you guys are going to say, and so I'm going to be a standout.
Okay. It's an Oscar winner. You'll love it.
Yeah, 100%.
All my picks are
Oscar
I know
winners. Nigel's going to vote for mine just based off this one movie.
Oh, God. Does it have 80s titties in it? Because he loves those.
Mm-hmm. I cannot confirm nor deny.
It's got to have some gratuitous topless
just
scenes.
Heavy gratuitous.
Yeah.
All right, you guys good to go?
For show.
Mm-hmm.
For show. All right, we're gonna have to burn through these movies real quick.
It's the only reason people listen to us anymore. They don't even. I think they just fast forward.
You are actually right. I think that's the only reason.
It's fucking fast forward.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah,
maybe I'll start putting in timestamps for movies.
We need to hide these nuggets right in the middle now. Like fucking.
We'll scatter them around.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie, I was fading so hard today. I feel like half the things I said on the actual podcast were semi-cogent. Ugh.
We feel that way too.
All right, so you ready?
All right, who wants to go first?
Fight movies.
I'll go first. I don't think I've gone first yet. I'm going to start with my favorite fight movie ever. I watched this movie over and over and over and over and over again. I'm going to go with Ip Man. That's Donnie
IP Man.
IP Man.
Intellectual property.
He looks so bad. He's like,
Ip Man is one of my favorite.
I've never seen it.
Oh,
I've also never seen it.
I want you to know I've
seen clips.
You don't have to enjoy kung fu or Chinese cinema to enjoy it. It's just a super good movie. It's actually it's got a really nice like cogent plot and story. You care very much about his like life and experience, even though he was the man who trained Bruce Lee originally or contributed to Bruce Lee's understanding of kung fu. They never really talk about that. It's not really about that stage of his life. There is Ip Man 2 and Ip Man 3, and by the time you get to 3, I think you get to meet the who plays Bruce Lee for the movie, and they talk a little bit about that relationship. But you actually get to follow him during one of the several invasions of China by Japan, and the big fight scene at the end is between a officer in the Japanese military who is a karate master versus Ip Man. One of the things I love about the fighting is that apparently I think it's Wing Chun is the kind of kung fu that he mastered, was originally developed by and for women for female defense, and he just kind of mastered this. And so part of the kind of feeling about everybody in the martial arts community is that, this is just for women. It's just kind of something to learn to, it's like gouging eyes and, fending off attacks. It's not really a martial art that you should take seriously. And of course, he shows them otherwise. Brutal, really fun to watch fighting style. And Donnie Yen just kicks so much ass. Ip Man is super strong.
Okay, next. And remember, we're trying to get through these.
Mm-hmm. I'll go. Okay. I will choose, assuming it counts, Gladiator.
Gladiator?
Why would Gladiator count?
Because it is a series of multiple fights.
You know what? I'm going to give it to you. Okay. I think you
sneak because by. You give everything to everyone with absolutely no pushback at all.
No, we talked earlier.
God, I would love to call.
No, but there is a series of fights.
Yeah,
you're absolutely
right.
Take
it off.
There is a series of fights. It's in the arena. Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Great. Enough said. It's a good movie. Move on.
And it has Russell Crowe without a shirt on. I know why you like this.
You're not wrong.
Brandon, go.
No, it's your turn. Go. I'm not following fucking Gladiator for fight movies.
All right, man.
So, because we just literally name whatever, so...
No, we can't.
Yes, we can.
Oh my god. Just because... Listen, motherfucker. You changed... Don't think I didn't see where you changed my fucking Limbo League bullshit over in the corner. I see that on that fucking Discord.
I'm glad you saw it, because it was meant to be seen.
Jesus Christ. Alright, I've got the king of them. Ninja Scrolls, motherfucker. Fallen victim for the throat needle. That whole movie is all about fight, and I love it, and I will stop dead. I will watch that movie anytime. Love it.
Okay, I'm actually just going to stop recording if we're counting Ninja Scrolls a fight movie.
Are you kidding me? Every single thing is a fight.
Okay.
He fights the dude that's blind. He fights the giant dude who apparently rapes dead girls. He fights... Everything is a fight. He fights the guy.
I feel like you
in the
guys just don't want to actually use categories and just name movies that you like, which we can do. That's just not the premise.
Do you not understand what I'm talking about?
Okay, so you said earlier
fight movies.
That action movies don't count. They have to be about fighting.
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Are you confused? Do you want to start over? Or... You get to do two now. That's how the snake draft works. Have you done a snake draft before?
Yeah, I'm waiting for you to name one.
Have you not named one?
I would skip you if you didn't name one now. You're supposed to name a movie.
I did.
Okay, well, I have to completely re-examine which movies are available here. I'm going to go with Die Hard, because he fights a lot of people in Die Hard. Next movie is going to be, I don't know, Shawshank Redemption, because there's a lot of conflict in that. What the fuck are we doing?
Oh my god.
The Shawshank Redemption.
There's a lot of physical confrontations in Shawshank.
I'm actually going to go with Babe. There are many dog versus pig fights in Babe. Something that happens.
You can consider the words as many fights in Charlotte's Web.
Yeah.
You guys have like a mental illness.
Yeah, I agree.
Pig.
You do.
I don't.
So, I will actually say that I think Gladiator is a fight movie. I will vote for that. I have not seen Ninja Scrolls, so I don't know enough about it to know if it's a fight movie.
All it is fights.
It's Ninja Scroll is a pornographic movie for 14-year-olds. I'm not kidding. That is literally the category it is in.
It has everything.
Everyone knew why the 14-year-olds were renting Ninja Scroll at Blockbuster. Everyone fucking knew.
Dude, there's only
what comes out of her vagina? A snake? Holy shit.
There was only one of those.
The movie opens to a rape scene. It's like, what are we talking about?
Listen,
there's only one of those.
There's only one of those.
Parker, legitimately, you need to see Ninja Scroll, and if you say it's anything other than a porno, I will slap the fuck out of you.
It is not. Jesus Christ.
Okay, Brandon, your disagreement is noted and overruled. Continue.
I actually don't want to do this anymore. You guys are ruining this entire segment.
Now I'm really interested to find out. I think you should just go with what you think is the true fight movie.
No, right, because the problem is because people won't read the title of the poll, and they'll just pick the one that has their 3 favorite movies on it. And so I should actually just pick my 3 really good movies instead of just voting.
Well, why don't you? I mean, I'll actually tell you this. Why don't we have like the title on the poll?
We do, but people don't read it. They just read the entries and click it.
Okay.
They do, and then later I goes, oh, yeah, but it was sci-fi category. And they go, oh, it was sci-fi? How did this movie get on there? It's like, I don't know, because people don't know what the categories mean.
Gotcha. Okay.
Well, if there's...
I'm actually just annoyed because I don't actually watch fight movies. So, like, I don't know... Like, I know the titles of a lot of them, but I haven't seen them. Mm-hmm. And so, like, I don't know what I could pick that would actually be a traditionally good, like, fighting movie.
Well, if you haven't seen any... and you don't have any good selections for it, then that's a whole different thing, aside from just hating on everybody else's movies.
Well, I'm going to pick Aliens, because, again, lots of fighting in Aliens.
I think there's a lot of shooting. I don't know about
There
fighting.
is. The aliens fight the people that are shooting them.
Okay. Oh my god.
Alright, so my actual pick is going to be Over the Top.
The arm wrestling thing?
Yep.
Because they have arm fights?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And my second one is going to be Warrior.
Fuck, that was on my list.
Have
you seen Warrior?
I don't know why it would be on your list, because it's a fight movie, so you shouldn't pick it.
The fuck are you talking about? Are you serious?
I'm done. Those are my 2.
It's now Jeremy's turn, right?
Yeah, it's Jeremy.
Kung Fu Hustle. I guess I'm going to be told that's not a fight movie?
No, that is.
Are you sure? Is it allowed?
I mean, I'm pretty confident, but you guys can disagree with me if you want.
Well, obviously, we could disagree with all of these if we want. Yeah, Kung Fu Hustle. Awesome. Funny movie.
Back Kung Fu Hustle,
super funny movie. One of the only movies I've ever like laughed out loud without knowing the language. Just super funny.
Yeah, I think Aaron... No, yeah, Aaron, you're next, then Parker.
Okay. Choice number 2 is $1 Million Baby.
My favorite version of $1 Million Baby is actually the $1,000 Baby, the
$100.
Oh my god,
$100 Baby, which is the Always Sunny version of that story. But it is a good movie. It's my turn, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
I'm gonna go with just I love the fight scenes in this movie. Kill Bill Volume 1.
Oh, that was on my list too.
I know people. You know, it's often cited, well cited movie, but man, oh man, the only movie that has so much fighting in it that they had to make it black and white for a little while and just like silhouette because censors said that you couldn't make it R if they kept doing more blood. And I love that they're like, okay, well, you know what? Fuck you guys. We'll make it black and white for a little bit, just silhouetted, and that's what they did.
Isn't that funny? They used to do that thing, and then I'm sure now they just give up on it. They're like, just forget it.
I don't know. There was a lot of blood in there.
Just forget it.
Yeah, I don't know. I know they changed the rules for the censors over time. Like, it used to be R-rated. It was, like, very hard to not be R-rated if you had any kind of actual violence. But nowadays, it seems a lot easier.
Mm-hmm.
Parker, you're up again.
All right. So, my last one, I'm going to go with... I'll be shocked if you guys know this movie. I don't think I've ever mentioned this movie to anybody else. I've seen this movie hundreds of times. I'm going to go with a movie called Robot Jox.
God damn, you have mentioned that movie a lot.
I've never mentioned the movie Robot Jox to you ever in my entire life.
Isn't that the one with that's Hugh Jackman, right? Or is that a different movie?
No,
that's Real
Steel.
Oh,
it's a Robot Jox. I believe is from '83.
Oh my god,
1989.
I was alive.
And it is
Robot Jox is the closest thing to the BattleTech movie that has ever existed.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
No, it's actually amazing.
Yeah,
it's kind of like in the vein of Starship Troopers, where it's intentionally campy.
Yep.
But it's not nearly as crazy over the top as Starship Troopers is.
Yeah.
2 men. It's very cool.
2 machines. 2 wild. That's what the movie poster.
The premise is in near post-apocalyptic future. Like, the world government is being divided up into like little territories, and the different governing powers are fighting robots to determine who will take over said areas. And so like the big battle on the schedule is like they're fighting for Alaska because Alaska has like oil in it. They're like, all right, we got to win Alaska. And so they're like lining up their best mech pilots to go fight the Chinese mech pilot for who gets to control Alaska. And it's shit like that. And like there's like all the resources are depleted and like, it's Mega City 1 and like it's just crazy.
It is. The fight scenes are super campy, done in like stop motion animation with giant like robots that look like they're made of cardboard boxes painted black with a spray paint can. Like it's
like, slightly better than Godzilla level animation.
Right. And it is just so much fun to watch.
I have heard of it, but yeah, I didn't know what I was hearing.
I would really love to know how it aged, because I don't think I've seen it since I was 9.
Yeah. It's like the 1980s version of Pacific Rim.
Yeah. It was the original. It's the thing that introduced me to like mecha and giant robots. And I think I rented this thing from my local grocery store, not shitting you, like 20 times. It was just on loop in my VCR as a kid. I love this movie. Robot Jocks is my last one. Ship it.
Okay. For mine, you guys already mentioned it, but I'm going to call it out anyway because it was number 3 on my list, and that's Real Steel. Mainly because I would have Hugh Jackman's baby if you wanted me to.
I think there's a few people on that list already.
Sure.
Real Steel
a little tall for me. I think that would just be uncomfortable.
Real Steel is on
the
my
making
short
of the
list.
baby, or the having of the baby.
All of it.
Okay.
Real Steel has that quality of just like super old school campy boxer movie, right? They didn't try to shake up the formula at all, except robots instead of people. But it's the exact same formula.
It is a heartfelt drama with these, robots as the plot driver, right?
Right.
But it's really about the interactions between, I don't even know the characters' names, but Hugh Jackman and the kid.
And then
it is amazing how making the combatants robots and not people allows it to be a family movie as opposed to being like a movie just for adults, because there's instantly no violence, and also you get like the heartwarming connection of the kid learning the lesson of how like you can't just count things as worthless because they're like designed to be shitty. But
as someone who grew up playing Rock'em Sock'em Robots, so there's a little bit of nostalgia right there. But I never got into like the super like kung fu fighting movies. So you notice all of my selections are more drama based, with fight being the thing that drives the movie forward. So anyway, enough about me.
Jeremy, got your third pick.
The story of Mr. Fred Dukes, Bloodsport. Dude, I fucking love that movie. I watch that movie all the time.
Is his name Fred Dukes?
I believe it is, man. Some reason it popped into my head. And it
Fred
was like,
Dukes is the Blob's name from Marvel. Is it really
I think it's the same
name?
thing. It like popped into my head.
the only thing I remember about Bloodsport is the gloves, right? Where they dipped in the glue, right?
Oh, yeah.
Bloodsport.
Glass.
And then I remember Hot Shots Part 2.
Yeah.
Gummies.
Yeah. I haven't seen a lot of these movies, but I've seen all the spoof movies that they inspired.
Where he dips in M&M's.
Yeah. Like Skittles and sprinkles.
Yeah, Dukes. That's him.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's a weird coincidence.
It totally has like all of the characters from every video game. It's got like the big trucker guy, the little guy that flops around dance fights. Dude, it's so good. Yeah. So that's my 3.
I would love to know if that movie was done before that movie, because I feel like that if it was the very first one, it makes sense. Like,
what do you mean?
Where it has that kind of the pantheon of different fighter types, and it's every Namco Bandai game ever made.
So
right?
I think Street Fighter. I think the first Street Fighter, the really old one that's real shitty.
Predates
I think that was first. And then not the movie, but the game, the real shitty one. And then I think the movie got made, and then the second Street Fighter came after. I think Bloodsport was in the middle there. Mm-hmm. Because, I mean, that one game was real old and shitty.
Because Bloodsport's basically an action movie set to the tone of a fighting game.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
I had no idea what my third one was going to be because I only had 2. But I think I'm going to go with Transporter.
It's definitely any movie with that guy in it is a fighting movie.
I was trying to think of something better, but God, every time I think of a movie, I'm like, that's just an action movie.
I know. They turn into that really quickly.
Yeah. And Transporter is definitely more of the fighty one. Because he just kickboxes everybody instead of like shooting them.
I kept thinking like movies
I feel like I'm missing
Death
one
Wish.
though. God, there's one that's killing me that I know I've seen and I just am forgetting.
A Jason Statham movie?
No, just in general, like a fighting movie. But they're also corny, right? Because why don't they just shoot them? Like,
have we all done 3?
Like, yeah, that's the last one.
I was actually really surprised. This one almost made mine, but I haven't seen it for so long, and I remember it didn't make a huge impression. But I know it's all around back alley fighting is Snatch. I'm really surprised nobody said Snatch.
Oh yeah, or Fight Club.
I thought about that one a little bit. Fight Club.
Fight Club's a little bit of Fight Club. There's only like one.
You said it needed to have a final fight. I don't know if Fight Club has
really.
that.
Snatch is one of those movies that it's all about fighting and yet not about.
Dude, that's
fighting.
true. Snatch is a good one. God damn it.
Yeah.
I like that one.
Would you like to replace Ninja Scroll?
Would it make you feel better?
No.
Okay.
I'd still judge you the same amount.
Dags. What?
Dags.
Do you got Dags?
What?
Get Dags.
I got to get a caravan from my ma. Sausages.
Yeah, there's
Equalizer.
like an infinite number.
Equalizer.
Yeah, that came up on like Google searches, but I don't know. I haven't seen it.
Dude, have you guys seen Kubo 2 Strings? Kubo and 2 Strings?
I have
the
not
2
seen
strings.
it yet.
Yeah, Kubo and 2 Strings.
Yeah.
Dude, it's so fucking good. I was thinking about that for a fighting movie because it's like got the classic like Japanese style like guy wandering, finding like basically villains and having to deal with them and fight them, but it's done in stop motion. But instead of like normal stop motion, it's done like where they print out every piece and then put it on, and like it's done with like 1 million stop motions. It's fucking insane, and it's beautiful, and it's such a good movie. But it's worth checking out if you ever run into it. It's very, very good.
Cool.
Another movie that almost made mine you would never think fight movie until you actually do like a plot breakdown, like a scene breakdown of this, and there's tons of fights. Scott Pilgrim versus the World.
That's true.
I'd say that is just a fighting movie. I would say like it's an arcade fighter.
Mm-hmm. I love the tone of that movie. I love the tone of that movie.
I had Southpaw, Karate Kid, Creed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I didn't want to choose one of the boxing movies because I like it. It's not really movies that get to me. Although I love Southpaw. I thought about picking Rocky 4. It only really fights the one time, so like I know there's a huge buildup, but it's really the whole movie's just a fucking montage until he fights once.
I almost went with for a category of movie, it has to have a montage. Like, then I was like, Rocky, what movies have a montage? Like,
I think I've also figured out what makes me so upset about this is we need to pick categories that are not subjective. I think that will fix it.
I don't think it needs fixed. It's fun.
I think it needs fixed. I hate it. It drives me insane.
I think you have a trigger.
Well, I do. Like, no, the thing that gets me upset is when people pick movies that, in my opinion, which is admittedly my opinion, is not within the category.
I understand.
Because it feels like you're just ignoring the point, and it drives me insane.
It's like, okay, you get to pick the category, go. And you're like, I like the color red. You're like, fuck red. Blue is correct. Yeah. And you're like, wait, hold on.
No, it's not that, because like it's not the opinion of the movies involved. But like I had a problem when you said Big Hero 6 for sci-fi. I'm like, it's not a sci-fi movie. Like, it's just not. Like, that's not what it is. And it depends on how you define the category. And it's like, and pretty much anyone you ask goes, no, it's not. But like, to you it is. And so that's why it's weird.
I think.
And when I did like 2010 comedies, it's like, well, that's more of an objective, like we know what these are.
I think the important part, at least to me, for this whole thing is movies that are enjoyed by you and land somewhere around this category, and then people can go, oh, I saw those cool, or I haven't seen them, I'll check them out. I think landing them dead spot on to these categories is so not important, and for some reason it's very important for you.
Right. Well, also, like, because it affects the way we pick the movies. Because if, like, when we talked earlier, and you're like, fighting movies, immediately I went, okay, he means, like, Bloodsport and, like, over the top, or not over the top, but, like, all the Van Damme movies. And you kind of leaned into that when we talked about it. I was like, oh, okay, I know what types of movies I need to draw from. And so I'm out there looking through all these movies I've seen, I'm picking mine, and then, like, we're like, and I pick 300. I'm like, that's not, like... It's like, well, if we were like, that's the category, I would have picked different movies, is what I'm basically saying.
I get it. And had you had...
And also, like, what happens when we just go, okay, well, every week I choose Die Hard and Aliens, because I can make an argument that they fit into almost every category.
Yeah, but then
like,
you're not even...
Right,
then you're not trying to achieve anything. I would rather spotlight a cool movie than spotlight trying to break a rule.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
so
whatever.
We'll also, as we get through the generic categories, we'll start getting to other stuff. And we had a suggestion from a listener that we do like a triad selection where, and of course Aaron's not here, where we will go, basically it's like, all right, well, here's 3 actors, and you have to pick your favorite movie from those 3 actors in order. So it's like, let's say just random, was like John Travolta, Tom Hanks, and
Russell Crowe.
So you have to show up with your favorite movie of the 3 of them, but we draft them. And so you can pick them in any order, and then it's those 3 movies standing on their own. And also then the way it's not really a category, but it's like you're choosing movies from these groups. Mm-hmm. And so we're all choosing from the same groups. And because like you can choose, even like Tim Curry, you can choose a myriad of different movies that show how you like the actor in different ways.
I also think cutting it down to like between 85 and 90, just those years, there's so many things that exist in there that you forget just because it's not current and you don't remember it. But when you look up those years, you're like, oh my God, all of that stuff existed. Like there's a lot of stuff in there that we just haven't gone to. But I think this is a fun exercise, and I don't think it's one to take too seriously because I mean, Ninja Scrolls is amazing.
I like Ninja Scroll. I think it is a fun movie.
It's the best.
But I never would have put it in a fight movie category.
Well, it's Ninja and Scrolls, and if I were to look for it in Blockbuster, I'd
Scrolls
say
are
I'm
very
looking for fight movies.
Scrolls speak with their fists.
I'm looking for a movie about a big guy who rapes dead girls, and they'd be like,
exactly.
Ninja Scrolls is right over there.
Yeah,
and
it's okay. I killed him because he raped me and my vagina was filled with poison. And you're like, hold on. And then the opening credits roll. And you're like, hold on a second. And they show all of it.
Speaking of vaginas, I can't wait till I win this week, because next week is Best Pornos, and you can't pick Ninja Scrolls twice, Jeremy.
Yeah.
Does it have to be a movie, or can it be a 3-minute clip?
Subjective.
Mm-hmm. I'll just send you links. I'll send you my favorite links. I would put on a lot of blockers, is what I would do. Just put on as many malware / spyware blockers as you can, and just
Jeremy, I would love to think that you would attempt to do this as a joke, and it actually would just prick your computer.
Oh no! What would happen is I would accidentally upload a massive amount of malware into your
malware, huh? He's gonna upload the malware.
Viruses, the dark web, my whole computer, all just uploaded into the cloud.
Yeah. Well, there wouldn't be any room for it because Parker's stuff's already there.
So I'm sure what everyone imagines is my computer and my phone is the episode of where Master Shake is clicking on all of the pop-ups, and he's like, oh yes, I'll take that, I'll take that, I'll take that, and it's just the windows just keep opening, and all of a sudden the dude pops out and he's like a wizard. You have achieved. I am the wizard of the internet.
Ever gotten here before. Yeah. All right, we should probably get out of here.
Yes, we should.
Goodbye, everyone.
So long.
Bye.